Ahlan wa sahlan, marhaba. Welcome everyone to Campaign's second Saudi briefing event of 2023 on media and marketing. I am Nadeem Qureshi, the publisher and also part of the furniture at Campaign Middle East. Yes, I've been here for more than 11 years now. It's always good to see a packed room full of friends, old colleagues, and associates. Thank you everyone for attending and supporting us time and again. We have an amazing lineup of speakers on insightful panels and keynote presentations for today's events. And as usual, before I hand over the mic to Campaign's editor to get on with today's packed agenda, I wanted to brief everyone on the upcoming opportunities and the latest developments at Campaign Middle East and with our partners. Speaking of our partners, I hope everyone is now aware of Athar. Taking place from November 14th to 16th, the Athar Festival will celebrate and recognize creative marketing excellence across the kingdom. Here's a nice video for more insights on this festival. With renowned and international speakers, the Athar Festival will discuss the impact of creativity on business, nurture young talent, and celebrate Saudi's most creative marketing and advertising campaigns from the last 10 years. And as a very special consideration, only today, all attendees from this event will get a 20% discount on the delegate passes. So please reach out to Athar's team on their activations outside to get this discount only for today. Right, coming back to Campaign, please make sure that you contribute regularly to Campaign's upcoming special print editions like our annual directories, such as our out-of-home suppliers guide coming out this month. And as you're all aware, we have also launched this year Campaign's job section online, where you can actually post and search for the latest job opportunities in the industry and also get career advices from industry experts as well. Our next event is in November in Dubai on out-of-home in the region. And after that, our last event of this year will be in December, where we will host our flagship Marcoms 360 conference. Now in its 7th successive year, Marcoms 360, the theme is on Predictions 2024, which will help marketers and media professionals anticipate and navigate the year ahead. And we'll also focus on what to expect on 2024. Please reach out to me or Tarun, who's standing right there, for all partnership opportunities with Campaign and with our events. Our next month's issue will also feature Campaign's Marketing Game Changers of 2023, where Campaign will shortlist and profile the region's top best marketing heads driving real change in their companies and the media, advertising, and communications industries. If you have any suggestions on some amazing work being done by brands, please feel free to reach out to Justin with your recommendations. We should have all these opportunities and a lot more details on our website, social media platforms, and weekly newsletters. So please don't forget to subscribe and follow us in order to get our latest news, updates on our future events, our podcasts, upcoming directories, and our print and digital editions. Now, I would like to thank our partners who supported us for today's event. The gold sponsors are Amazon Ads, Dentsu, Digital Media Services, or DMS as they're fondly called, Group M, MBC Media Solutions, or MMS as they like to be called, Publicis Group, and Zep Ads. The associate sponsors are Bigo Ads, Mfilterit, and Yandex, who's also sponsoring lunch today, so please stay back for that. You will hear more about them as the day progresses too. One last point, as always, I would like to ask everyone to send us your feedback on the content that you hear today. As you can see, there is a green agenda flyer in front of you with a QR survey code. Please scan it and give us your valuable feedback on each session so we can work with our partners for much stronger and relevant content. Right? That's about it from me. I will hand over the mic now to Campaign's editor, Justin Harper, who will take today's event forward. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and I hope to see you all again.
Please welcome to the stage, editor of Campaign Middle East, Mr. Justin Harper.
What a great intro. Thanks, Nadeem, for that. Good morning to everyone. Thank you for coming. It's great to see you all back here after our first session in May. So before we kick things off, we'd just like to show you a short video on Campaign Middle East Agency of the Year. These awards focus primarily on business results and reward the best agencies by geography and specialism, as well as people and teams. Okay, excellent. There's lots of images of our former editor, Austin Allison. I like to think I'm a slightly slimmer, shorter version of him. So that will take place in December, and so we hope you can grab your tickets and see you there later this year. So, back to this event, we want to welcome you again to the second Campaign Saudi briefing event. We saw many of you at the first one in May, which was a bit like the first half, a bit like a football match. However, this was a 4-month half-time rather than 15 minutes. So now we're here for the second half. We've had a few substitutions among our sponsors and speakers and present to you another strong lineup that could potentially win the World Cup of advertising and marketing events if there was such a thing. The theme of today's event is media and marketing. The last one was talent and technology, so you can tell our love of iteration is quite clear. While a lot has happened in those 4 months, including a few high-profile footballers now calling Saudi their home, there was another huge win for the region at the prestigious Cannes Lions Festival of Creativity, where Saudi Arabia picked up its first ever Grand Prix. I know it may seem like old news back in June, but it was a monumental event. In the media industry, and definitely in PR, we overuse words like groundbreaking, revolutionary, and first of its kind. But all of these superlatives surely apply to the Subconscious Order campaign from Wonderman Thompson. I'll pretend that never happened. From Wonderman Thompson Riyadh and Hunger Station. The campaign was really smart, along with great creatives and user experience. Soon after the ripples of this award spread across the region, and the Saudi creative industry quite rightly puffed out its chest and said, "We have arrived." We now look forward to many more such awards and accolades for the great talent in this region. What stood out for me about that campaign was how it combined customer insights and technology in order to improve the customer experience. At the time, Wonderman Thompson said the campaign was aimed at eliminating the frustrations of decision fatigue that consumers face while choosing their food, and I can definitely relate to that feeling. The Cannes Lions jury president went on to say, in today's world, brands have to apply meaningful value in order for people to offer their facial data or any other kind of data, to be honest with you, and Subconscious Order did this beautifully. It's a wonderful example of AI being applied to commerce and is a bold, brave way to change the user experience, which is no mean feat. Now that's high praise indeed. But what the campaign also highlighted is how valuable it is to get the mix of technology and creativity right. Both need each other. When this marriage is done well, it can create a real impact and help you pick up a prestigious award. Today, we hope to carry on this momentum, giving you some valuable insights and actionable advice to help take the creativity to even higher heights. We have a full agenda for you of panels and speakers, plus a networking power break. As Nadeem mentioned, there's also a lunch provided by Yandex Ads, which will take place here in the hotel at a restaurant called Azure, along with a host of prizes, which should make for a great event. We learned our lesson from last time and have factored in your love of networking and catching up with people, so we've doubled the coffee break now to 30 minutes. And lunch is at a very respectable time of 1:20, hopefully, rather than over 3 p.m. last time. So please stay with us for all of the panels and presentations, because there's plenty of networking, chatting, and eating time built in. We're also giving away, as we mentioned, some generous prizes. These include AirPods and a PS5 donated by mFilterit. To enter the mFilterit competition, you need to scan the QR code on your table. It's the same for Bigo Ads. They also have a competition where you can win AirPods by scanning the QR code on your table. And later I'll tell you about a further competition from Zapads. And before we kick off today's events, we'd just like to play you one short video from Motivate Media Group, the parent company of Campaign Middle East, who produce a range of titles and events, including Attar, which we mentioned earlier. Now, our first panel of the day is called Level Up Your Brand, Mastering Engagement in KSA's Gaming Universe, brought to you from DMS. The panel discusses ventures into Saudi Arabia's thriving gaming universe and is a playbook for meaningful brand engagement within the gaming community. First, we'd like to play their videos.
This is the new Xbox Series S from Curry's.
What's up, everybody? It's Nas. Check out my new album.
You're listening to one of our new songs.
Choose UE Bristol.
ايه راح المنتوس والله يا زلمه تفهم
خليك سموث مع عيش منتوس.
Mentos, stay fresh, dude.
Mentos fixes your mental شباب.
اوه زين.
fair. We are winning. We are winning.
Keeps my breath fresh.
منتوس عم
How do you
بندهله.
pronounce it? Mentos.
Let's win. Mentos up.
Mentos is so much fun. It's like fresh champagne.
Some very excitable people there. Okay, as we bring the chairs up onto stage, I'd like to welcome our moderator, Zaid Kamar, who's the COO of DMS, Nabil Motran, the founder and CEO of Division, Wilfred Obeng, who's the co-founder and CTO of AudioMob, and Anthony Ngayu, my apologies for your pronunciation, MENA Social Lead, Omnicom Media Group. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. While everyone's setting up the chairs. Again, I'm Ziad Khammar, CEO of DMS, sales home of many of the leading media brands you already know, Anghami, Kura, Gol, Sabuk, and Division and AudioMob, which we'll get into in a bit. Gaming has really arrived in the kingdom. While social media as a channel garners a lot of attention, gaming has shown that got lost there. Yeah, gaming has now become more than just an activity for kids, but a mainstream channel, showing engagement that is unmatched while you're totally focused on screen, whether it's playing, catching attention, engaging, has really changed the game. Let me sit there. A couple of years ago, Netflix CEO even mentioned that the main competitor to his business is not other streaming platforms, is gaming as an entertainment channel. Because it's grown beyond a bunch of kids just playing. Today, whether it's PlayStation, Xbox, PC, or the mobile phone, gaming has become a pastime for people of all ages. Osama, can you play the video, please? Osama. Here's an example of who is
what
gaming.
What do you do to blow off steam? When you want to relax, like what do you have fun doing?
Video games.
Oh, what's that? Video games.
Video games.
You're a big gamer.
Since I'm a kid, I love it.
Really?
Yeah, it disconnect me from reality.
So, and there's a big video game part of your ministry, right? There's a out of sports.
Esports is one of the most important things happening globally. It's the most one of the most growing industry in the planet. It grows by 30% every year. So the return of PIF investment every year we have 15 to 25% of profit. So it's really amazing, and we don't want to miss that.
Yeah. When you see,
it's like beating Hollywood today. So one of the streamer on esport, he have more than 2 billion views, more than the biggest Hollywood movie.
It's amazing.
So it's serious.
And you, to blow off steam, to do something, you get on a video game?
Get on it with my kids or my friend and just disconnect for a few hours.
A pastime which is rivaling streaming TV and other activities. And it's not only an activity, it's a major pillar of Vision 2030, as we all know. So, we're covering three main topics today. The big opportunity in Saudi, misconceptions on gaming, and how do we get advertisers to really embrace through some great case studies that the team will be sharing. We'll kick off with some introductions from the panelists, and we'll have a nice session. Go ahead, Nabil, go and start.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thanks, Ziad. My name is Nabil Motran. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Division. We are a digital marketplace technology that enables brands to connect with gamers from around the region and around the world. We launched the business over a year ago, and very proud to say that today we have over 870 gamers across 48 countries around the world.
Wilfred?
Hello everyone, how's everyone doing? I am the co-founder and CTO of AudioMob. And as you might have seen on the video, what we're allowing brands to do is connect with their audiences without interrupting them using audio ads in games and apps. And I guess the next question you might ask is why? And that's because 86% of gamers and people who are using apps find that experience with video ads annoying because it interrupts them from what they're doing. And as Justin Harper said earlier, it's about how you can better connect with the user and provide a better value exchange. So we're based in Abu Dhabi, London, and New York currently. And yeah, today we'll be taking you through a few of our case studies and a bit of debunking some of the misconceptions about gaming.
Anthony?
Yes, I'm Anthony Nrayoui. It's okay, Justin?
Say it again, say it again. Say your last name again.
Nrayoui. So I work at Omnicom Media Group. I'm going to introduce OMG anyway. Most of you might be familiar with it. We're one of the biggest network agencies in the world, and we basically, what we do is media planning and buying, to put it in simple terms. I'm the social lead for the MENA region, and I also look after gaming, so it's also part of my scope and why I'm here. And very happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation, and really looking forward.
Thanks for the intro. So we got really three good panelists. You've got a neutral point of view of the agency, you've got more or less a mobile type gaming view, and a complete different channels type gaming view from Division as well. Okay, Saudi Arabia. We're going to be very local. Obviously, starting with the Crown Prince, gaming has become a major pillar for Saudi Arabia and a passion point for all Saudis. Let's share some insights. What should advertisers know before planning their next campaign? So, hey, Nabil, why don't you kick it off? Guys, please jump in, add to each other, and we'll have a good discussion.
Yeah, I think the first thing I'm going to ask the audience, who here considers themselves a gamer? Can you just see 5, 6, maybe 10 people, right? How many of you have a smartphone? Everybody, right? And how many of you actually have a game on your phone? Whether that's Sudoku, crossword, or anything like that. So the numbers immediately jump up. So the one thing that we have to consider is that everybody today is a gamer. The number of gamers in the world today exceeds 3 billion people, which is a similar sort of number to the smartphone penetration around the world. In Saudi Arabia alone, the latest numbers that we see is around about 24.7 million people are considered gamers. And this is not our data, this is according to global surveys that have been done. So when we look at that, we see that the audience of gamers today expands beyond the traditional viewpoint or the stereotype of what we thought a gamer was, which is a teenager sitting in his bedroom with a hoodie and some headphones on. Today, people use gaming as the primary source of entertainment and engagement. And the one thing that we do at Division all the time is work with brands and agencies to understand how you use that to your advantage rather than use it against you. And that's why we look at really mainly 3 things. The first thing we look at is what we call fish where the fish are. And if you look at platforms, and our colleagues at Amazon have just presented to us, but on the other side of their business, if you look at platforms like Twitch, the data is absolutely staggering. If you look at the 2022 Twitch data, streaming data in 2022 around the Arabic-speaking world, for example, there was 1.8 million hours of live streamed content in Arabic last year. It was consumed by 111 million hours. Now, to put that into context, that's 12,700 years of view time. So you have a massively captivated audience that are choosing platforms like Twitch to watch streamers live stream on a huge basis. The second thing we always think about is what we call relevance and authenticity. TikTok, always coined the phrase as relevance is the new reach. And how do we use relevance and our gamers to really deploy content with relevance and authenticity that allows higher engagement with the audience? And then the last thing we'd look at is the active engagement versus passive participation. When we're looking at scrolling social media content, social media ads, it's very passive in its nature. Whereas if we are able to deploy content at scale, then we're seeing a very, very, very positive return on investment from.
What are you seeing in Saudi specifically in terms of gaming activity or the type of gamers or the type of games? What is anything insightful in Saudi specifically?
I think that the biggest unique element that I would say in Saudi Arabia particularly is the nuances of the community that exists, right? The language that they use, and I think you saw from the examples that we showed on the case study for Mentos that we did earlier this year, is the level of creativity for a lot of our gamers is, and I've worked in the advertising industry for over 20 years, and I wish when I was back in the creative agency, I wish I could have hired some of those people as our creatives, because their level of creativity, their level of content creation is amongst the best in the world. One of our gamers that we work with very regularly, he's the region's top streamer. He's ranked number 2 in the world on Twitch engagement, right? And he's a Saudi based in Saudi Arabia.
Amazing. Wilfred, from your point of view, you have a different view from mobile gaming in Saudi. What are you seeing in Saudi specifically?
In Saudi specifically, I think Nabil did a great job of saying and explaining that there's a bit of a misconception. When you say gamer, everyone thinks someone playing 18-year-old boy playing Call of Duty, whereas actually if you even look at the ministry in KSA of Digital and Communications, they say 48% of people playing games in the kingdom are women. So people don't realize that it's the types of games people are playing, and that differs, and that's something we see worldwide. For example, one of my favorite campaigns we've ever done is for Pampers, and that was targeting gamer mums. And for a lot of people, they're like, wait, gaming and parents and mums? And yes, those are the people who are also playing these games, but they play a different type of game. So for example, they will highly index in puzzle games. They will highly index in the kind of Sudoku kind of games, the chess games. But we also see in the kingdom that a lot of people will be playing, especially the younger generation, Dune bashing games. So one of our most common games is Highway Drifter, which is made by a Jordanian studio, but it's very popular in Saudi Arabia. And you see a lot, and that will index more highly on men. So, and that'll be younger males who are interested in like racing games and car games. So you see a wide spectrum of people playing games, and that is something we see and a phenomenon we see worldwide. It moves from anything from an 18-year-old to a 55-year-old woman and man playing different sorts of games.
Yeah. My mom and my grandma, I've seen them playing on their phone, so 100%. And do you see Arab games popular?
Yeah, so that is something that's very unique to Saudi Arabia as well. So in comparison to somewhere like the UAE, where you'll see a lot of residual gaming requests coming from very stereotypical titles, you'll see that very popular in the UK, like Candy Crush. Here you'll see a lot of localized content that is very popular here, alongside some of those popular games like Avican Life. But you'll see more of the localized Arabic content. So that's meant that we've worked and partnered with a lot more studios who are actually in the kingdom to bring our ad experience into the country.
Amazing. Anthony.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about advertising on gaming. So let's introduce ads into the topic, and then talk a bit about what we're seeing in Saudi. So first of all, to have an advertising medium, call it mature, you need 3 things to be in place. You need users or audiences, and then you need advertisers' interest, and you need ad tech. When it comes to users, I mean, there's no debating that gaming has the users, and it's had those users for 20, 30 years. People have been playing games for a long time. So if there's any kind of lag in the industry today, it's because advertisers are now waking up and saying, wow, there's a great opportunity there. I'm going to place my ad in front of these people. But they're met with an ecosystem that is not extremely mature yet. So today, if you look at the ad ecosystem on gaming channels, it's still being built, it's still being developed. And I think the ad tech and advertising interest, they're going to grow hand in hand. With more advertisers and more interest, more ad tech companies are going to invest in gaming, and vice versa. With more solutions, advertisers are going to start seeing the value, and they're going to opt into it. Now, if we want to talk about Saudi and advertiser interest, I mean, we're in Saudi here, and we have 2 panels about gaming today. That's starting from here. And we've seen 2 types of clients, especially here in Saudi. You have those brands that are, a match made in heaven with gaming. Like there's the snack brand, that beverage brand, the telco, which powers, the internet for gamers to play. So Those advertisers have started 3 years ago. And they've done, V1, now they're going into V2. But V2 has, we've seen other advertisers being interested, seeing the results that the other brands have been seeing, saying, okay, we want to be part of it. The automotives, the travel, the other CPGs. So that's kind of what we've been seeing. And we've been introducing gaming to, those new wave of advertisers, those new categories. We've been putting them on pitches and on AOPs and explaining, the opportunity in gaming and how big it is for them as well.
What learnings can you share from that, phase one, that if an advertiser now is coming into gaming can jump straight to V2, and it could be good advice for the other panelists as well. What have you seen, Anthony? What advice would you give?
Yeah, I have one bit of advice that I've always shared with everyone. So I've seen iteration 1, and what I realized is that expectations didn't always meet reality. In what sense? So when an advertiser voices out their interest of connecting with gamers, what kind of gamers are they talking about? So you might sit down with a client and tell them, great, we have this kind of solution for you, and it might be maybe more towards the hardcore power gamers or more towards the casual gamers, and maybe that's not what the client has in mind. So the first step is set expectations and define your mission in gaming. What do you want to do? And we've seen a lot of brands, taking the empowerment angle. We want to empower women in gaming. We've seen, like the telcos can say, we power gaming because they're the infrastructure. If you're, the soda drinks, they get you up all night. Yeah, they have sugar, they have caffeine. So, it's very important to define your mission. That will translate into who you want to target. If your brand is more about having fun and just playing and enjoying yourself, then you might want to broaden more and go towards the casual gamers as well. So that's the first step, in my opinion. Think strategy, think mission, and write it down. Yeah. Understand who you want to connect with.
Very good. I think we've said it all, misconception. They're not just kids, and Nabil, how do we tackle that? What do we do to share that there's CEOs playing gaming? How do we, tackle that?
I think rather than talking about the tackling the misconception of who gamers are, we will always approach it from the audience perspective, right? Whether you're a gamer or not, I'm the CEO of a company of Division. I don't consider myself to be a gamer, right? Yeah, I play computer games and I have games on my phone and so that. However, I enjoy watching gaming content, and I consume game content, and so it's all we look at it more on the entertainment side of things, and how does that drive an audience's entertainment component. And people that do game are more prone to consume gaming content. When we look at the data, we see how engagement changes. So Gen Z audiences, and I'll talk about Gen Zs for just a few seconds, but Gen Z audiences in the Arab world spend around about 15 hours a week consuming gaming content, whether that's playing games or consuming gaming content. The same thing applies to music and movies, 15 hours a week. So that number doesn't change. However, when we look at the engagement rates, in music and movies, it sits around about 30% because it's passive in its engagement. I'm receiving the entertainment. Whereas when we're looking at gaming content, that engagement level increases to 72%. And that's where they say they are actively engaged in the entertainment. So when we look at it from the audience side of things, we see that we have a very captivated, highly engaged audience. And that spans across the demographics that we always think about.
Well, attention is the new metric, and gaming does offer that. You're connected, you're there, you're highly attentive to every single pixel on the screen. So if there's advertising, you're going to be very attentive on that. But Wilfred, on mobile, your technology captures attention. I think we didn't get a chance to really explain that. Could you elaborate a bit on what AudioMob offers today and how makes a difference in capturing that attention?
Yeah, so rather than, I guess for a lot of people who have played mobile games, could I have a raise of hands of who's experienced a video ad on mobile or on an app? All right, so I think we can all agree it's quite annoying 30-second experience of pushing your phone. I can see some smiles, I can see some laughs. So that is basically the experience that we are trying to avoid. So what we are doing is, rather than showing a video ad during that basically exchange in terms of you're getting a reward in the game, we are presenting the user with an audio ad, which allows them to continue to play the game without being interrupted. Now, you might ask, well, am I not then losing some of my brand coverage because I don't have the visual aspects? And well, Dentsu's study and also our brand association studies would differ with that assumption, because it actually shows a lot of people are more engaged and have better recall with the audio ad. And that's because, similar to the same reason why you can remember your favorite song, or you can remember what someone says a jingle, it's a similar reason as to why you remember the ad and it has very good recall. So we actually see a lot of positive actual brand association and also purchase intent after a campaign is done. Now, another thing people usually ask me is that if you're doing that, how are you ensuring my ad is heard? So for us, and this comes from me and Christian, we started our careers at Google, it was very important, brand safety, and it was very important for us to make sure that there was a fair value exchange between advertisers and also the actual developers. So we do not show an ad unless the volume is above 30%, it's at 30% or above, sorry. So this basically means you know that the user is listening to your ad. And you might ask then, well, how are you going to encourage someone who has their volume lower? And this is where we actually have unmute prompts. So we'll say, for example, if you want to get a new life in the game, if you raise your volume, you basically get the reward, but you also listen to the ad at the same time. So this basically incentivizes a lot of the people who are gaming to actually raise their volume, listen to the ad experience, but also continue to play. And so this means on the developer side, they don't have any retention issues where, gamers just put the phone down or close the app. And it also means that the advertisers have a fair value exchange of knowing that their ad is actually heard, and hence the reason for the higher brand association and brand uplift statistics.
Oh. Anthony, what type of gaming environments are advertisers now active on?
Well, there are way too many. So you know that you can advertise in the game, around the game. So those in-game banners. When you pause, you get a video or a banner there. But that's just within the environment. But there's much more you can do. So the gamer isn't only playing; they're sometimes watching. And I mean, there's a big opportunity to tap into streams, because in streams, the gamer's actually attentive to the content. They're not focused on the game, and they have more time to absorb the brand message. In addition to that, we said in-game, around the game. So they play, they watch, and they also surf the internet. They surf the web. They're just getting on with their life. It's very important to know which platforms gamers use. If we're talking power gamers, they're not on all of the conventional media. They have their own platforms. They use maybe Reddit, Discord. So we need to find ways to tap into them without actually, buying that ad spot, that banner. There are more creative ways to reach gamers through, tailored activations, especially that gamers are a particular type of people. You cannot just win them over with any kind of messaging. You really need to know what you're doing, and you really need to understand how they think and who they are. So these are the types.
Are there any specific campaigns or cases you'd like to share?
I don't know, Nabil, if you want to share.
I can talk about a couple, yeah. So I think I didn't even ask you to say that about streaming and how streaming can help drive the engagement levels, which is great. Thank you very much. Yeah, look, we've done some really interesting campaigns, not only in Saudi Arabia but in the region, alluding exactly to what Anthony was talking about, which is, being not intrusive in your communication, but integrating your brand message into the actual content of why your audience is there in the first place, making it relevant, authentic, native to the content that you're there to watch. And when you leave it in the hands of the creator to go and do that, it can actually be done with relevance. And the case study we showed earlier, which was, I'll just talk about two very, very quickly. With Mentos, we used 17 streamers, 17 creators. Over a 4-week period across the UAE and Saudi Arabia, we streamed over 4 weeks, we streamed for 484 hours, 137 streams, I believe. Our audience view time was 390,000 hours. That's 45 years of audience view time, with the average brand visibility per unique viewer of 5 minutes. So the brand was seen by the viewer for about 5 minutes, each unique viewer. During that time, we had 53,000 live in-chat, in-stream live brand mentions from the audience. So when we look at that, not only have we got captivated audience, a large audience that is attentive, they're actively engaged, and the chat allows us to measure that chat. We've done similar work with MasterCard during Gamers 8, which is the big esports festival here. And we saw similar numbers. Obviously, it was a smaller campaign. We only did 10 streams. And over the 10 streams for creators, we had around about 3.5 years of view time. So extremely captivated audience. And it's because it's done in a way that is not intrusive, whether it's a pop-up ad or whether it's a pre-roll or anything like that. It's done and it's received a lot better. Now, we're not saying it should be a this or that. We believe at Division that it should always be a complementary element to your advertising campaign. It shouldn't be social or streaming. It shouldn't be pre-rolls or that. It should be social and this, pre-rolls and this, because that adds the multiplier effect to how your audience are engaging with your brand.
I mean, from the audio mob perspective with audio ads, we've run a lot of campaigns in the kingdom. What are the kind of metrics we can share with the audience? What are successful campaigns, learnings that can help them plan for gaming planning?
I think the number one thing is, and I think it was something mentioned just on the panel just before us, where it was mentioned about creativity. And that's something we see with audio is no different, right? We see once you have an influencer's voice, you see engagement skyrocket. For example, we've done campaigns with like KSI, so a very popular YouTuber, and you'll see the engagement rates goes all the way to 5% click-through rate. So something I should also mention is with the audio ads, there is actually a banner component which allows people to actually click through to actually complete an action. And we usually see a very high amount of engagement with that because people aren't used to, for example, when we do campaigns in America, we've done a campaign with Justin Bieber, they aren't used to hearing Justin Bieber's voice come on and say, hey, check out my new album. And people are like, oh, okay, that's quite interesting. And they'll tap it and then they'll go into, Anharmy, Spotify, etc. to then stream it. Similarly, we see the same thing with the campaigns for general brands as well. So we've done campaigns with DMS with like KFC, Sadia, Chicken, from STC, etc. And we see very, very high click-through rates. We see very, very high engagement, especially on rewarded audio ads. So you're seeing anything between 95 to 98% listen-through rates. And that's because there's a value exchange, right? Someone has actually opted in to get a new life in the game or to get a boost in the game, and they're getting something back in return. So you usually see people will listen through to the whole thing, and then they'll also click on the opportunity if there is a call to action. So yeah, we see very high listen-through rates, as is the audio space, and we also see very high actual intention and click-through rates, so actual potential to actually purchase as well.
That's another metric we have to all know now, listen-through rate, from view-through rate to listen-through rate. Anthony, gaming versus social. Yeah. How would you, to an advertiser, I mean, it's not one or the other, of course, but how would you compare it for the benefit, the advertiser to really see the difference between the two?
So I would say if I want to summarize the difference in one word, I'd say mindset. Completely different mindset, both. And of course, you need to reach people when they're in both mindsets. However, it's more how you reach them. So, I mean, I'm going to take both. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. You guys know your platforms more than I do. But I mean, in the case of Nabil, Division works with power gamers. And as I said, I mean, these people have their own way of their own lingo, their own emojis that maybe the non-gamer would not understand. So as a brand, you need to really tap into the creative. When you work with a streamer who can connect with their audience, in that sense, that streamer will know what to say, how to be culturally relevant, how to get those people engaged, because they engage them every day for long hours. And on Audio Mob, it's a completely different mindset. People are there to just have fun and enjoy themselves. They take it lightly, and they do want to focus on the screen, but their mind at the end of the day is not too engaged in the game, so they can focus on the ad at this point. And I think when you take every single medium into consideration, how it works, and what really think about the mindset that people are in and gamers are in, you'd really be able to make a lot of impact. Now, social is more about discovery, and it's more about you're more in control, because in gaming, the game kind of dictates what you need to do. On social, you can decide if you want to swipe, if you want to stay, if you want to move. So also the behavior is way too different, and it should be taken into account when planning an activation.
Okay. Any questions from the audience? Any advertisers interested in gaming? Okay, we'll finish up with a last question. What do we need to do to take gaming to the next level so advertisers jump in even further to make it as part of a media plan, just as social is? What do we need to do, Anthony? You mentioned a bit, but what do we do now, this year, so that next year we go in with a lot more advertisers jumping in and feeling more confident about the channel?
Okay, so what I think about here is what would be, what is the expectation? Do we need to put gaming on a plan? Does it have to be a line item, or can gaming be part of several activations? Because today we are doing a lot of gaming activations, but in all sorts of ways. If we connect with creators, we call it sometimes influencer marketing, although it's connecting through gamers. So doing an in-app activation can go under programmatic ads, can go under direct. So we're kind of doing that. Twitch, YouTube, that's video. So whether we consolidate it and have that line that says gaming, consolidate all of the activations, and really calculate what's our gaming budget is, I think it's a decision that different advertisers can take different routes. Some of them would still go video, social, programmatic, direct, and some of them would say, okay, gaming. I think the deciding factor here is how important is gaming to them. If gaming is an integral part of what the brand wants to achieve, then it's worth having its own separate strategy, its own separate plan even. If not, then they're going to be doing bits and pieces of gaming activations, and then just goes across their plan.
Wilfred?
I think the main thing for me is for everyone to almost not listen to the noise and lean in and observe, and I think that's one of my favorite things to do. So for example, when I was in the airport lounge, I noticed a lady, and she was in her 50s to 60s, and she was playing a puzzle game. And that was something she was doing to pass the time. She was there for 30 minutes straight, waiting for the flight. So I think actually analyzing and seeing what gaming has become, and understanding that it's actually a medium that everyone is consuming in this day and age, whether it's casual, hyper casual, whether it's really esports, veterans, whether it's the person playing PS5 or Xbox, it's all happening, and to really lean into that and actually start to analyze whether this is a worthy opportunity, and really start to explore and dive in.
Valuable. Nabil, finish off the panel.
Start small, scale fast is the way that we're talking to our agency partners and clients. We have a 90% brand return in the last year and a half of brands that have been on our platform and then return for repeat campaigns because they see the value. But I think what Anthony said is spot on. It's all about what your brand strategy is, right? A lot of brands, many brands that we talk to, have a gaming vertical as part of their overall strategy. However, there is also the other element, which is how can gaming help you reach your audience for any other marketing objectives that you have. And I think it's dependent on where you sit as an agency or a brand direct with what your overall objectives are, and then how can gaming help you. But I think there is, where you've heard from AudioMob, from us, and there's plenty of others, that there's always a solution within gaming that can help achieve that objective, whether it's a bespoke on-the-ground activation all the way through to your always-on programmatic solutions.
Hope that was helpful for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to our panel on gaming, which is a very fascinating subject. It's where apparently gaming can also improve your strategic thinking and your creativity, although that was told to me by my 2 teenage sons while they were playing Fortnite, but I sort of take their word for it. Just a quick reminder that you can scan the QR code and give us your feedback on all the sessions you've heard so far. Now moving on to our panel, our second panel, which is content, data, and commerce, making the most of every shoppable moment, and it's brought to you by Dentsu. Before we go into that, we're just going to play a short video by Dentsu. Okay, so this panel will dive into how to create a unified customer experience across platforms, leveraging data to win at personalization and the post-purchase experience, and the rise of AR, VR, and AI on activating at scale. So I'd like to welcome on stage, firstly, our moderator, Ahmed Haider, Managing Director of Dentsu KSA, Omar Khan, Head of Data and Analytics, Merkle Mina, Ramla Jarrah, President and Co-Founder, Mass Analytics, and Ahmed Chatila, Director of Brand and Communication at Hunger Station.
That's perfect. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending our session. Actually, we are tapping into an important topic, which is, I think, crucial for all marketeers, which is how commerce is becoming everywhere in our digital lives. So shopping is not becoming occasionally. I think shopping is happening all the time with us. We have today 3 industry experts. The beauty of this panel is coming from different backgrounds, which means we will have a different point of view. We have Ahmed Chatila from a client side. He's a Director of Brand and Communication at Hunger Station. We have Ramla Jarrah, our tech partner. She's the President and Co-Founder of Mass Analytics. And we have our own Omar. He's the Head of Data and Analytics at Dentsu Mina. So the panel today will dig deeper into how they will make a seamless experience for shoppers, for shopping, and they will split into 3 sections. One section related to data for personalization. The other section, it will be purely about how to improve the post-purchase decision. And lastly, how you can integrate technology related to AR, VR, AI for broader impact. So no further intro. I will start with you, Ahmed. I've heard Hunger Station had the ability of making every meal feel like it was cooked just for you. How do you use data to create such resonating shopping experience?
Thank you, Ahmed. I'm glad to be here as well, and glad to be surrounded with like-minded professionals like you, everyone. To answer your question, Ahmed, I think the power of personalization starts with collecting data. Collecting data is very essential, and we're talking outside before coming in, is having the proper tool to utilize and harness those data. And this is where we need to start with every e-commerce business. After that, it's the fun part, is where you can start utilizing those data by implementing them in stuff like geotagging. Like, for example, if you open any Hunger Station app, the homepage wouldn't be the same as any other homepage, even if it's a neighbor or a family member. So what you see on the main page is totally different from any other platform or any other homepages from other similar apps. So where after using this data, you start using it with harnessing it by putting different customized input on this as well. Geotagging as well is very important. So for example, trendy restaurants is different from what I see and what you see. later on as well, promotions and offer could later be different from other users to another. So using those as well and trying to approach them or harnessing those data is very important. And this is, I think, the fun part where you start utilizing and personalizing the homepage.
Interesting, interesting. Ramla, a question related to your field in specific. They say data is a new oil. How at Mass Analytic do you craft such detailed customer profile from raw data?
Okay, so indeed, I do believe that data is the oil of the 21st century. So we are in Saudi, so Saudi Arabia, watch out for the newcomer. So I think very important to consider this because what happens with data is that it really helps you uncover stories, very interesting stories, and sometimes stories that you never thought of. I think everyone knows the story about the diapers for Target and the association rule that has been used in order to discover how you can assort your products in store in order to increase sales. So I think, as Ahmed mentioned, the story starts by collecting good data, but then after that there is a step in data that is very important. We call it in our jargon feature engineering, which means that you need to apply your cleverness, your smartness in order to make the data talk, because there is a difference between the raw signals and the way your consumers behave. So you need to develop that art where you can transform this data, this raw data, into meaningful features. And then after that, select the right signals and the right features that can explain behavior. So if I apply this to the field in which I specialize, which is marketing mix modeling, so we obviously have lots of data, digital data, offline data, macroeconomic data, distribution, prices, promotions. But then we know that when a customer is exposed to an advertising, they won't go and run to the store and buy. There is certain types of behavior that happens in between. And you need to use the right mathematical formula to kind of translate that behavior into a mathematical equation that can model your reality. And I think where the penny drops in modeling is that when you discover what is the right way to transform your data, to make it speak, and then take that story to the client and make them discover things that they never thought about, and you can use these stories, in order to aid decision making. So I think data is fascinating, and definitely is the oil of the 21st century.
Interesting point of view. Omar, how does Dentsu craft content that resonate deeply with the audience?
Thanks, Ahmed. First of all, I think, apologies for my voice. I think I want to frame this in a way how my journey has been. Our friends at Amazon spoke about a consumer journey. I'm going to exactly relate to this one. I come from a background of technology. I've been part of Microsoft. Then I was part of WPP, which was entirely about media. And then I wandered into telecom, all about the connective devices now. How do you get the customer data? Then one of the last companies I was working for, it was all about smart cities. So the government, everyone really wanted to understand the feedback that you would get. So the journey has really transformed into more of a CXM. And I think at Dentsu, rather than just calling data as an oil, I think data is very much a necessity. It's not really taking you from one position to another, but it's actually combining the power of technology. Look at Amazon really producing that end-to-end solution. There are other companies that actually combine the power of Commerce Cloud. What we at Dentsu are doing, the power and the USP of our solutions is really bringing that old technology, data, and using AI at the heart of our solution to really drive that value. The other part of this one is how easy are you able to capture those touch points? That's the more relevance here. Are you able to capture every moment of customer and really build that moments engine? And I think that's what we're doing at Dentsu when we talk to our clients. How does retail media really benefit out of every single touch point of a consumer experience journey? Experience platforms, there's one element of design. We spoke about gaming there. Well, if you don't like the game, you're not even never going to get onto it. How do we make sure there's the design element of it, but from a tech perspective, work with those technology partners who have very much an end-to-end solution? And I think agencies are best placed right now because what they understand is where would your consumer come from, which category is really selling. So I think with a lot of pitches happening right now, Ahmed, for us, the CXM, I love this title because I think the connected world is going to keep on exploding. And with the likes of clients, the technology partners, I think there's a tsunami of data. But how do you segregate this, bring into one location, build insight, very much real-time advertising? I think that's what we're really driving here.
Agree. I think this is a hot topic in our industry and even across all agencies, how to crack this part. Moving into the same context of the question related to you, Ramla and Omar, where you can both answer. You can start with you, Ramla. What data touch points are most essential?
Okay, I think in today's world, and given the landscape that we are living in, first-party data would be the most important data to gather. First, because it's going to be owned by you. Second, it's compliant to the privacy laws. And third, it's probably the most trustworthy data that one could get. So what we mean by first-party data is any data that the company would collect kind of internal, like, for example, customer databases, website analytics, social media platforms. So this is your data. You can do whatever you want to do with it, as opposed to third-party data that is going to disappear. And I think the beauty of this first-party data, for example, if we take the example of Hunger Station, there is a wealth of data that is collected as a first-party data that you can do wonders with it. You talked a little bit about how you can use geolocalization in order to personalize the content to your different audiences. There are also many things that could be done in terms of observing and analyzing the behavior of your customers, because not all of them behave the same. So I think today we moved away from demographic segmentation to behavior segmentation, because at the end of the day, what determines why I should be put in a separate segment than another one is the way I behave, and not necessarily my income or where I live. So I can have different income than you, I can have a different gender, but my behavior is similar to you. But at the end of the day, what brands need to do is to cluster together those customers that exhibit the same behavior, because then you can service them with personalized marketing that addresses their behavior. And when you exploit the wealth of the first-party data, that is made possible. Layer to that, your website analytics, layer to that, any customer survey feedback you can have, that becomes a great source of information. If you apply the right methodology, the right techniques to it, you will be capable of really providing the personalized marketing that, that customers are after.
Okay. What's your point of view, Omar, on this one?
I think all the data touch points are important, but if I had to pick up something, a couple of them, I think Ramla pointed out the behavior and the motivation really plays a factor in pre-understanding where exactly your target audience is coming from. And that feedback loop of what exactly the customer responds, I think that's an alert mechanism for us to think about what ads, what audience segmentation do we really need to pinch in. I think all touch points are important, but I think the technology plays a bigger part here. I think the technology is more of the backbone of the solution. Definitely the IoT, the sensors, device IDs. I think you spoke about geospatial data. I think this is going to keep on coming. I think how do we take the few touch points and really build insights to think about in the future, how do we segment this along with the first party data? I think the huge win, that's where it would be.
Interesting. I think there's another question also for you, Ramla and Omar, which is, I believe, most of the attendees, and even before they tapped into this area, what are the ethical consideration and privacy concern related with data-driven personalization? I think this is a very important topic right now. Would like to have your point of view. You can start, Ramla.
So I think, so this is something that every single brand needs to acknowledge and not ignore anymore, because it's there. It started with GDPR, CCPA, and I know that also in Saudi Arabia there is the PDPL, which is similar to what we have in Europe and what we have in the States. And that means that, consumer privacy is there, and we need to be cautious about how we use and how we deploy and how we communicate on the customer level data that we have. I think there are many considerations that brands need to be aware of. For example, the transparency when it comes to the way they collect this data and the way they use it, the right of opt-out. Every single customer has the right to opt out from any communication, no matter how personalized it is. I think it's also important for brands to explain how important it is this data is in order to do personalization. Because sometimes I think customers do not realize the extent to which this data is useful to them as well. So the more you communicate with your customers on how this data is being used in order to provide content that is personalized to them, I think that's where you can get more and more buy-in. The other consideration that I think very important at this stage is that companies should deploy the right kind of mechanics in order to safeguard that data. The way they store it, the way they look after it. There are many methods, like, for example, de-identification, anonymizing data. Loyalty cards, for example, this is a good example I can mention here. In order to do segmentation analysis, yes, I need user-level data, but at the same time, I don't need to know what is the identifier of the person. So anonymizing data will help us dig further into it, get all the patterns we want, but at the same time, observing the confidentiality of it and not bridge the rights of the consumers. Brands as well need to acknowledge and know these legislations. They should know what does it mean, GDPR, if they work in Europe, CCPA, if they work in certain states in the US, and of course other countries have also joined the club and they have had their own laws when it comes to the consumer privacy. To be honest, I am in favor of respecting consumer privacy. Consumers have rights, and come the time where we really need to service our customers while getting into consideration their willingness to share data with us. It's our job, brands, to make sure that we tell them, we communicate to them that what we are going to do with their data, we are safeguarding their data, and that's how we can move on this.
I think Ramla really spoke
I think she
everything.
covered most of the things, Ramla, but go ahead, give me your point of view on this one.
The only couple of things, I think transparency very important. As Ramla pointed out, I think the customers need to know exactly what data are we capturing. The two things in my previous job, I was doing a lot of horizontal data activities, and then specifically in the region in Saudi, they're driving data governance big time. How exactly do you store the data? And I think that really becomes very significant when we go into retail media. I think compliance plays a huge role, especially the way the customer data is stored, what sort of data quality you keep in. I think it drives a bigger journey. If you talk about Amazon's or Adobe, they really drive that module of data quality, segmenting and making sure that sustainability, you're not wasting anything. So I think this really plays that significant role that you're not capturing everything. And as Ramla said, you have to anonymize that data. You don't really need to use everything. At the end of the day, what you're really targeting is you're controlling what you show out there.
All right. Concluding the first section with you, Ahmed, and this has been highlighted at the beginning of the conference, where Hungerstation made history by being the first ever Saudi brand to win a Cannes Grand Prix Lions this year. Can you talk a little bit about the subconscious order campaign that won that award?
Definitely. I think it all started with the insight of people having so much of food variety, and they don't know what to order. Like, it happens with everyone, even with us. And if you want to open the app and you just want to order, okay, what's next? What should I order now? So this was the insight for the subconscious campaign. The power of the subconscious campaign is that it harnessed the AI technology in order to help you choose what you want to order. So technically, what will happen if you open the app, you will be promoted or you will be viewing specific cuisines, pictures of dishes, and there is going to be an eye tracking from the device, choosing exactly and telling you exactly what your subconscious have decided by looking into the eye tracking that's happening while looking at the dishes. And based on this, a result will give you later on what subconsciously you are looking for. It was a nice campaign in partnership with our creative agency, WTA, and it won Grand Prix in Cannes Lions. It was the first Saudi brand to win such achievement or a award.
Actually, it's an amazing idea where AI is at the heart of the whole idea. I think congrats for this idea, and hope Hungerstation will win more award in the future.
Thank you.
Moving to the second section, which is purely improving the post-purchase decision. Continuing with you, Ahmed, they say after-sales service is like a date after a successful proposal.
Yeah.
how does HungerStation ensure it's always the perfect dates for its customer post-purchase?
I like how you're tweaking the question to make it more
You have
interesting.
to, because this is actually what we're doing.
Look, I think post-purchase, specifically with aggregators or any apps or e-commerce, it's the first step is ratings. So as soon as you finish the order, there is the rating happening, and there is some kind of assessment, whether it's for the rider or for the cuisine or for the actual app experience. However, after this happens the second order, and I think this is where the fun part and the added value will happen. So with the second order, there's the predictive analytics that will help you choose what you will choose from the cuisine, or what will be the second order for you based on the previous experience. So this is one of the post-purchase experiences that will happen from our side. Second is that there is always a dynamic price and promo adaptation happening. And I think this is happening on all or most of the e-commerce businesses. So it happens with aggregators, it happens with flights, it happens with hotel bookings. As soon as you open and you want to order, there are different prices based on your previous history. And it's not always higher. In most cases, it's lower prices and discounted prices based on the history and based on the privilege that they will give you. And I think it's for building loyalty and retaining customers as well. So I would say promo and promo dynamics, which is price, and predictive analytics, which is giving you a much and better experience on a journey level and the consumer level as well.
I actually agree with you, because I use HungerStation and I face this post-purchase experience where they share with me the same restaurant, give me variety based on what I've selected before.
Exactly.
And this is you're personalizing, in a way, my experience at your app. Exactly. Amazing. Question for you, Ramla and Omar. They say loyalty isn't given, it's earned. How do brands earn and nurture this loyalty, ensuring customers feel like loyalty?
I like the question as well. So I think Ahmed already touched base on that, in the sense that I think what Ahmed was saying, what I was reading in my analytical mind through the lines that he was talking about, is that they are using a lot of data in order to understand how customers behave, and then based on that, they will be suggesting to them the next purchase based on the historical data. But again, so all these AI-powered algorithms, they all base their predictions on historical behavior, and that's exactly what is being leveraged by Hunger Game. I think the other thing that I would probably add here is that loyalty is not a one-off effort, okay? So you can acquire a customer, you can be the big number one delivery food in Saudi Arabia, but that doesn't mean that the job stops there. Because I think loyalty needs to run from the first date to long-term relationship and eventually a wedding and a marriage. And for that, there is lots of steps that need to be done by the brand in order to make sure that they are always there in order to deliver to their promise, to keep up the good services, the good quality product, the good customer service, and so forth. And that can also only happen as well by continuing to read the data, discovering the patterns from the data, and suggesting new things. And at the heart of that, we have innovation. So it's very important that these brands continue to innovate at e-commerce, because obviously competition is high, competition is there. At some point, now today you are in a process of acquiring customers, but we all know that in this type of businesses, at some point the market will saturate. That's exactly what happened in the telco companies back in the days. And the only way to survive is to make sure that you keep your customer base. So your growth will come mainly from how can you keep your customers happy, how can you increase the basket value of your customers rather than acquisition. So I think always caring about your customers from day one is very important to ensure the permanency of the business.
Agree. I fully agree with you on that part.
I think I love one of the sayings of Sam Walton, who is the owner of Walmart. Customer is the boss. He can literally fire the chairman if really not sold. So I think it's how you nurture, you mold that. Once you've actually got that as an asset, you're actually thinking about what rewards you push in, what loyalty program do you really build in. We spoke about gamification. How do you really make sure you understand every behavior and the move of the customer? That's really significant. I think when HungerStation talks about starting to release those kind of things which the customer really wants to see. It's more of their behavior that they are really trying to tap into and suggest through an AI what the customer wants to see. So I think definitely data plays a key role, but I think from an architecture, from a solution perspective, I think as a technologist, what I would think is really joining those dots together and really thinking about consumer journey along with the technology enablement. I think that's the more success that you really get in. And I think that's one stayed along with you. It's how you nurture and start building up that alert mechanism for the customers.
Actually, gaining loyalty of customers is becoming a very hard task. Knowing what's happening in the market and the various exposure he's having and the various offer he's having. So I think you're right. It's not only about data, it's about from the beginning, he interact with your apps as Hunger Station, how you would develop it further and retain him as a customer moving forward and deliver on all his expectation. I think that's an interesting part. So I think, yeah, it should be earned, definitely for sure. Moving to the last section, which is related to technology, emerging technology, continuing with you, Omar, stepping into AR and VR and how recently most of the brands are using it to enhance the shopping experience. And we've been witnessing it across a lot of areas, especially in the retail business. How does Dentsu leverage the use of AR and VR to provide a better shopping experience?
I think retail media has been more of the topic of the hour, so I'm probably going to take that as one of the things. I think AR, VR isn't just limited to your apps. I think it's also physically when you walk into a store. I've seen a few new companies that have come in, which is a smart mirror. As soon as you walk in, with the sentiments, it actually starts to recognize what shelf are you looking at. Start suggesting more real-time ads. There's digital shelves that allow you to actually post your ads and offers right away. I think Dentsu is really looking at that partners right now, along with the tech stack that it has, to bring in AR, VR to the next level of really think about people coming and having that shopper's experience in a physical store and making those decisions right time. But I think the advantage that we have is we're able to actually start suggesting something based on that data. That really builds up solutions like identity solutions in the future. So it's more amalgamation of all these things, I think, that's going to really drive the emerging technologies further.
Interesting. I think we're investing a lot into this part, even under Dentsu Creative line of service.
Absolutely. I think we're really going down the gamifying route as well right now, apart from apps.
Interesting. Back to you, Ahmad. In a world where AI can predict your next purchase, which actually is all about the topic we're discussing now, how are brands using AI to elevate the in-store experience?
I think definitely AI will definitely change the next level of e-commerce, and it's not only e-commerce. It's the next level of all the businesses and the business model, and definitely it will predict your next order if this is the approach or this is the needed thing. However, having said that, I think we still didn't harness the power of AI yet. And it's still yet to be developed and yet to be explored. We still didn't scratch even the surface with the AI technology. And there's another point which is not still not recognized as well, which is augmented reality, specifically with retailers. I think there's much more to explore on this front as well. Why augmented reality? Because it is the transition between the physical experience and the digital experience, and we know that all the next trend or the next way of working is that's going to be through digital, and it's going to be through digital e-commerce, and most of the physical and the traditional enterprise will be less intense than before. So I think the augmented reality is the next future thing when it comes to retailers and traditional as well, moving to digital.
Interesting. Ramla, could you provide a little bit of insight how AI is employed in e-commerce, especially in chatbot, recommendation engine, predictive analytics, how it's working?
Okay, so I'll pick the third one, which is predictive analytics, which is again one of the things that I am really fascinated by, because So if I take the measurement from a measurement perspective, the marketing mix modeling that we do at Mass Analytics, so the idea is that using this type of methodology, you will be able to predict your sales. So for e-commerce, predicting the trend of your demand is very important because that will have massive consequences when it comes to the way you manage your inventory, not getting out of stock, not overstocking, et cetera, et cetera. And the idea is that you will be layering all the data sources you have. You know how much budget you are going to spend on advertising, how much activation you'll have on digital and offline. You know what type of promotion you want to run in the future. You kind of predict what would be the moves of your competitors, and you put all this into one equation that will tell you and that will help you forecast your demand. So I think predictive analytics is one of those things that has been empowered by AI and that really gives brands tangible outcome, tangible savings in order to help them better predict their future, better manage their stocks, and better know what are the levers or the drivers that they need to activate in order to get a response from their customers. Is it search? Is it retail media marketing? Is it display? Is it programmatic? Is it outdoor? Is it television? Or is it all of it together? And how can I activate all these things together in order to earn that synergy that all marketeers are after? And I think these predictive analytics provide us these answers that all the brands are after. What are my sales drivers? What is my return on investment? If I have $1 million more in my budget, where should I invest it? And how this can translate into a demand so I can prepare myself for that demand. It's a festival, it's Ramadan, it's a New Year, it's any event. How can I get prepared for that? Because all these factors, be it internal, media, marketing, external, seasonality, all of it impact the brand, and we need to understand how they add to the brand and how they add together to the brand so we can forecast demand. And of course, there is the chat boxes that leverage NLPs. This is another application of AI. There's also the recommendation engine that Ahmed was talking about, based on association rule. Again, another AI method that could be used in order to help e-com.
Amazing. Actually, we're running out of time. That was the last question. Thank you so much for attending the panel. We hope we provided valuable insight in the panel. Thank you so much for our speakers, Ahmed, Ramla, and Omar. Looking forward to have another panel with you in the future. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you to Dentsu and their panel. We now have that power-breaking networking and interactive learning session now. We were planning for 30 minutes, but we're going to cut it short, hopefully, and come back here at 12:20 to carry on the second half of the day. So we'll hopefully see you back here at 12:20. Thank you.
Are you still using traditional methods to buy traffic on YouTube and Instagram?
Introducing Pulse, a contextually relevant video-level targeting platform that harnesses the power of AI and human intelligence to supercharge your ads targeting. Pulse scans videos and dives deep into precise context targeting while considering elements like logos,
Please take your seats as we are about to commence.
Okay, welcome back everybody to the Campaign Saudi briefing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats as we are about to commence. gentlemen, please take your seats as we are about to commence.
Okay, welcome back everyone to the Campaign Saudi briefing. I hope you're all feeling powered up and well networked after that break. So, we'll start with a keynote presentation called Transforming Emotions into Data, AI's Role in Analyzing Viewer Sentiments, brought to you by Zapads. First, we'd like to play a short video.
Are you still using traditional methods to buy traffic on YouTube and Instagram?
Introducing Pulse, a contextually relevant video-level targeting platform that harnesses the power of AI and human intelligence to supercharge your ads targeting. Pulse scans videos and dives deep into precise context targeting while considering elements like logos, emotions, faces, actions, objects, and many more. It also focuses on content, context, and sentiments to make the targeting more effective, and all this happens within a brand-safe environment. Be seen, be heard, and unleash the power of Pulse.
Okay, so I wanted to introduce Gagan Upal, the country head of MENA Zapads Media, but there's a slight problem, unfortunately. He looks like he's on the phone, so I'm not sure if he better make it.
Okay, I will call you. Bye. Good afternoon, guys. Sorry, I was speaking to my better half. She was calling. Welcome to the era of AI. Machines are getting smarter, but I'm not smart enough to understand my better half emotions. So, guys, today I will be digging into how AI is helping brands to understand the emotions and how brands can leverage on the right sentiments to work and target the right users in the right environment. Can I please get the trigger? Thanks, Nadeem. I know we all have been listening about AI on a regular basis in every event, and AI is a necessary evil in the current scenario. So let's dig into how emotions are very important from a brand perspective when they are targeting to the users. What are sentiments? Sentiments are basically your opinions, reactions, your behavior to the different scenarios in the different circumstances. It can be in the form of happiness, sadness, amazed, shock. So there are different sentiments for every human being in the different scenarios. Let's see why they are important for the brands when it comes to the strategy. I think we all have listened about this in the Amazon presentation when Jared mentioned in the morning that it's very important for the brands to connect with the audience in the right sentiments. Sentiments are very important, and creative teams are taking care of it. But when it comes to the strategy of implementing into the media, sometimes the brands focus on the lower funnel and they don't create the right connect with the users. This is where we are playing a very important role in getting you the right emotions. We live in a world where news is considered as a brand-safe content. But whatever news are we consuming is the coming with the right sentiments? No. There are so many negative sentiments coming in the news. So we have to look for the content which is right from the sentiment perspective. So I will show you a couple of examples how brands have been using in terms of a creative strategy, but how we can leverage when it comes to the media planning strategy.
ممكن نكون أفضل إذا عشنا بقرب ونلاقي احنا للوصل دايم سبب ممكن نكون أفضل إذا عشنا بقرب ونلاقي احنا للوصل دايم سبب هذا شهر فرصة عشان نقرب احنا لبعضنا شهر تحس فيه بأمان ممكن نعيشها كلنا ممكن نعيشها كلنا في داخلك في خير
Why emotion matters. Let's see from the creative strategy perspective. Brand has very certainly showed that telecom is bringing people together. Let's go back a couple of years. We used to be on the voice calls with our families. Now we have moved from voice calls to the video calls. It's bringing people more together. It's showing more connectivity. It's showing more emotional sentiments coming out on the calls. We feel, yes, we are connected with our families better than earlier. Now, what Etisalat has done in this creative strategy, they have shown people when they're using Etisalat services to connect with their families, they feel happiness. The emotions are coming and showing the bonding of love together. Now think from this perspective, if this ad is getting placed or shown against the content which is talking about flights getting cancelled due to the bad weather, or maybe a strike on the UK airport, which is very frequently happening nowadays, and the loved ones are not able to travel back to celebrate the happy Eid or any of the important events in their life, there is a right sentiment which is getting connected with the brand. People are losing the emotional connect with the brands, and which is very important if the ad is not getting placed. So ad needs to be placed next to the right sentiment in the right environment to create a bonding effect. When emotions conflict with the campaigns, we all have been in the same industry and we know all the global brands over the last couple of years are facing a challenge when it comes to the right sentiments where their ads are getting displayed. I will show you a couple of examples where global brands has faced. I'm extremely sorry if these clients belong to your agency, but this has happened and this is in all over the media. So let's see what happened with a couple of brands. Let's take an example. This is the last year scenario. IQOS ad was getting displayed next to the kids' content on YouTube. Why it happened? Let's see more in depth. My kid is consuming YouTube on a regular basis. I'm logged in as a user on the YouTube platform, but he's consuming a kid's content. From a brand targeting perspective, they're targeting me, they're not targeting my kid. There is a mismatch which is happening on a regular basis. Let's see the right connect on the same content. Let's see an example. If Hamleys is showing the ad next to the kids' content, and kids are influencing their families, their parents in making a right decision when it comes to buying the toys, and they're creating a good influence on the families, this is a right connect. I will show you a couple of examples where global brands, Oreo, Mondelez, from Mondelez, they have to pull down the ads from Twitter because of the hate speech. YouTube uses the advertising with AT&T Epic Games over the child porn glitch. General Mills, Audi, Pfizer, there is a list which is growing on an everyday basis because the ads are not getting displayed next to the right content. So why brands are not leveraging AI to target the right set of audience with the right sentiments? This is where I want to show you a couple of examples, how it works. How AI is helping brands. AI is able to transform the real-time data and convert into the data sets which can be leveraged by the brands on a regular basis. It brings the brand sanity, transparency, accuracy, automation, speed, which can't be done by the human being anymore. The content on the social platforms is getting generated every second. It's a UGC content platforms which have been used by the brands to leverage the reach. But the content is not in control of the brands. Yes, you can have a brand-generated content, but every content is not generated by the brands. It's an expensive affair. So you need to figure out which content your brand can be targeted on. Predictive insights, real-time decision-making, which AI can do on the fly, but human beings can't do it from the creative perspective or the strategy perspective. Audience segmentation can be created by the AI on a regular basis. AI can also recommend you the content recommendations and the personalization when it comes to the communication strategy. Let's have a look how AI is analyzing the videos. AI can analyze the videos with happy faces, brand logos,
crispy,
excitement, or the sadness. So AI is able... Sorry guys. Basically, AI is helping you scan the video, not only contextually, from a sentiment perspective and the context perspective. I will show you 3 examples of each and every scenario, how AI can be leveraged for the brands in a different planning strategy. Let's look at the sentiments.
Cause that's an old me. Got this taste on my tongue, I crave the glory. Gasoline in my veins, be the fuel through my pain. As we rise from the flames. Heart of a lion, never say never. Expressing.
In the first scenario, we saw the sentiments which are happy, excited, because people are in the environment where they're feeling high with the happiness. Let's see the content. Somebody is doing a grocery shopping, they're picking up a sandwich or picking up anything. There can be a right brand fit next to it. We can show the ad in the right sentiment, in the right environment. Let's go to the next context. We can scan the brand logos inside the content and see the ad which is getting placed next to it. So when brands are using AI, they are able to depict context, content, and sentiments, which are very important. Either you're doing a competition targeting or you're doing a proper targeting, which is segmenting targeting for your own brand. I will show you a scenario. If there is a sports brand, and this is a real example, I don't want to reveal the brand for whom we have done this campaign. So there is a sports brand who wants to target when Ronaldo was getting onboarded by Al Nassr. There was only 2 options. Either they can go to the content and they can keep on creating a contextual content, editorial content, and sponsor it. But then the challenges comes with this. Either you have to bring the traffic on those content pages and then get the content consumed by the users, or you can target on the existing content which is available on the social platforms via using AI. Let's see what AI will give you in terms of AI-based triggers which can be used to target the right set of audience. You can target the faces where Messi and Ronaldo content is available. So you're targeting the right set of celebrities or athletes. You can target people watching football on TV, kids playing outdoor, football stadium drone shots, playing FIFA, Xbox, PS, football goals. So there can be a couple of triggers which AI can help you with, which brands can use to target the right set of audience for the right segments. People buy with an emotions, and AI plays a pivotal role in aligning it with the right sentiments. Are you guys ready for using AI in your media planning strategy? Please let us know. Guys, any questions on AI?
Hey, Gagan.
Hey, hi.
Thanks for the presentation on AI. I have a question for you. How will the use of AI affect the performance of the campaign?
See, when any brand will use AI, obviously it will improve the performance of the campaign because precision targeting is coming. There is an intent of a user, there is a brand loyalty, and there is a brand recall which will increase the performance of the campaign. It can be used from a different metrics, whether brand is focusing on the top funnel or the middle funnel where they're trying to retarget the user for the consideration phase. It will improve the brand performance, and there are a couple of case studies what we have done in the past. I'm happy to share more insights. You guys can please connect with the Zappats team outside in the activation area, and we will be happy to answer all your queries. Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time.
Okay, many thanks, Gagan, for that. So now we move swiftly on to panel 3, which is called Beyond the Game, the rise of non-gaming brands in Saudi Arabia's gaming and esports ecosystem, brought to you by Publicis. You will discover how these brands are leveraging technology Saudi culture and aligning with the kingdom's national vision to create meaningful partnerships, sponsorships, and engaging experiences that resonate with the gaming community and are helping to shape the future of the industry. Before I welcome on stage, we're just going to play a Publicis video. Okay, so let me welcome on stage, starting with our moderator, Hunting Zhu, who's the Associate Business Director, Gaming and Esports Content at Publicis Group. Jamie Lorenzo Arapagita Cruz, Head of Sports, MENA and South Asia for Montoon Games. Yusuf Mosoon, Founder and Managing Partner of Anubis Gaming. And Ibrahim Hamdi, CEO of Arab Hardware. Please come to the stage.
Hello, everyone. My name is Han Ting. I lead gaming and esports for Publicis Group Middle East. I think since we're running a little bit out of time, we're going to skip the intro, as you can see from our very nicely designed backdrop. So for our panel today, as the name suggests, is very much about beyond the games. Because throughout our experiences, whether from a Publicis Group perspective or from talking to our partners and working with them, gaming is obviously becoming very big both in Saudi and also in the region. However, there's a lot of kind of gaps in understanding when it comes to gaming as a marketing service. The first one is kind of gaming being this mysterious parallel universe that is kind of in a dark room somewhere, which nowadays is definitely not the case. As you guys can see in the beginning of the video, in MENA region, everybody is a gamer and there's a game for everyone. And the second thing is kind of what brands can do in gaming, right? When it comes to gaming, a lot of people kind of, their mind directly go to something very specific, whether it's events, participation, or sponsorship, or streaming, things like that. While they're true, there's so many more things that can be done when it comes to gaming as a marketing service for non-gaming brands. So this is what we wanted to talk about and explore and discuss today. So first question, I think it's for Ibrahim. Because as the CEO of Arab Hardware, you've been very closely kind of plugged into the ecosystem and working with different brands, working with different kind of partners, suppliers, and also people in the industry in general. What are some of the trends that you would say in terms of gaming and non-gaming brands in KSA and also in the region?
Okay, so thank you, Hunting, for the intro. So yeah, I have witnessed like a peak on the non-gaming trends, non-gaming companies who are getting to integrate their marketing activities into the gaming and the esports through different aspects. So, for example, like this is due to the growth of the industry in general, and when the non-gaming brands started to recognize that the importance of the audience that they can target through the different games. So non-gaming brands started to integrate their product through, for example, sponsorship, through doing like their own gaming events, sponsoring some of the teams, and so on. And we have noticed this a lot. The last Gamers 8 is one of the largest gaming events in Saudi, happened in Riyadh for 2 years. and it was only like a couple of months ago. So for example, like a brand like Abdelatif Jamil, they started to integrate their product and they created their own gaming platform called Jamil Gaming. And we have another, like some brands which integrated some products like KFC and like Papa John's, and creating some meals for a certain game with the branded games.
Cool. Yeah, I think, you know, to kind of touch upon that as well, I think that kind of authentic experience is very important, especially for a very culturally relevant market like KSA. And also you mentioned team sponsorships. So I think that's a great segue to the next question for Yusuf. You know, as the CEO and founder of Anubis, you guys have been performing quite well in terms of performance and competitions both in KSA and also in MENA. What are some of the kind of experiences or learnings or things that you like to talk about when it comes to partnership and sponsorships with non-gaming brands for your team?
For me, the thing the brands look for is inclusion. I think that's the most important thing about gaming compared to any other sport, is that you're always included. Whether you're watching a stream, whether you're watching a broadcast, the inclusion is always there. Also, the access is amazing. In football, and basketball, and volleyball, if you watch a match and you want to do the same thing you've watched from someone you admire, you have to go physically to a place and you have to meet people who are physically available to be in that space. In gaming, it's a click of a button. I think the problem is that a lot of people associate this with laziness. I think it's the complete opposite. I think the generation we have right now in the world wants everything right now. We call them spoiled, but I think it's the good type of hunger, where they know everything is available, they have a lot of access, they have a lot of data, they can educate themselves a lot. So therefore, that sort of inclusion is extremely attractive for brands. Not only that, but when it comes to regular sports, the average spending is much lower than in gaming. For example, in football, volleyball, basketball, all the stable sports that we have in the world right now, you buy shorts, you buy pants, you buy shoes, mostly clothing items. But in gaming, you have 12 different components in your PC. You have your screen, you have your keyboard, you have your mouse, you have your headset, you have your chair, which is a very big component. If you didn't know, the chair is extremely important. Of course, that also gives a very big gate for all of these brands to associate themselves with. Right. That's why for us, our main sponsor, and I call them our partner, is Mercedes-Benz. The reason why Mercedes sponsored us wasn't because of our social media, our reach, all of these things. We had a championship in Spain, a world championship. It was one of our first world championship appearances. All the other teams made it to the championship 10 days before the championship started. We made it 10 hours before the championship started because of travel issues. All the other teams had a very big advantage, but for us in Anubis, the most important part of the entire team is to embrace your culture, which is something we fail to do in all other sports. As we've seen in Saudi, Egypt, Kuwait, Qatar, Tunis, Morocco, the top sports teams, the more you'd get to the top, the more you'd have a foreign coaching staff, foreign analysts, all of the things that revolve around player development are from foreign countries. Us at Anubis, we strive to find local coaching staff to develop these people with their cultural background, to capitalize on their culture, and that's what happened in Spain. We basically played a very random sort of gameplay. It's called the Saidi gameplay, which is extremely random and very passion-based. You don't essentially over-strategize, you just do what you feel like doing. For me, I thought we'd get a top 16 placement, and the more matches we won, the more I felt like we were in a dream. I didn't even understand what was going on. What ended up happening was we won the entire World Championship, and luckily a Mercedes executive was there in the venue. He saw the soul and he saw the 60,000 Arabs watching online and how they spammed the chat. And because we were losing 2-0, we lost the first game 13-1 and then 13-0. And then I ran on the stage, I took the players out of the venue and I reminded them where they came from and what they've been through, because I highly doubt that any other region or country has been through what these guys has been through. We were just talking before the panel that in Asia, in Europe, North America, your perception and your belief defines your future, not your surroundings. I think in the Middle East it's the opposite. You define your future based on what your parents want, what society wants, and what your peers want. Your perception of your future doesn't come into account at all. And I think that was a huge step for gamers in the region, is that for the first time, people who actually picked their future succeeded. And for the first time, we saw parents waiting at the airport for our players, fathers who weren't convinced of what their sons were doing. When they saw them in the airport and they saw the fans waiting for us, it was a huge step, not for us as a team business-wise, but also for the players emotionally and passionately. It was the first time they were actually seen for what they deserved for the first time. And I think including brands in that sort of equation provides a lot of brand equity for these brands, because being a part of that is much more important than capitalizing on a brand when it grows.
Yeah.
So I think we've taken a lot of good steps, especially in Saudi. I think the Saudi mentality is very different than the North African mentality. In North Africa, the sponsor joins you when you grow. I think in Saudi, the sponsor joins you when you're growing. And I think that's the most important step we're taking right now, and it's amazing to see.
Yeah, those are some really good points to unpack here. But I think you can ask Mercedes if they wanted to make some gaming chairs for you guys. But I mean, jokes aside, I think your point about growing together with the team, the brand and the team growing together, is a very important part that I think sometimes it's overlooked, because that's kind of where the partnership becomes very authentic, very organic. And such. And also one of the earlier points that you talked about, which is spending power. I think that's something is kind of less talked about in the gaming spaces as well for brands, because actually gamers love spending on these things and then love buying what they see. And I think lastly is the kind of diversity and inclusion, because in a way, for each market, for each region, there's diverse cultures. But also at the same time, gaming is that universal language that ties everything together, right? So, we all had that moment when we were kids, and then parents are just telling us you're like a troubled child addicted to playing video games, and then look where we are now. Okay, cool. In terms of playing games, Jamie, since since Muntan kind of runs one of the most popular MOBA games in the region, Mobile Legends Bang Bang, we wanted to kind of also understand a little bit of your experience and kind of perspective from a game studio perspective in terms of kind of collaborating with non-gaming brands, or kind of just kind of in the MENA and also KSA community when it comes to collaborations.
Right. I'm gonna double click on your previous point. Back when I was a kid, my mom would get really mad at me for staying up all night to play video games. Man, if only she could see me right now. I'm on a panel, Mom. But yeah, just going back to what you said earlier, Mobile Legends Bang Bang, or MLBB for short, as well as our professional esports league called MPL MENA, has seen significant growth in Saudi Arabia as well as the broader MENA region. And I would say that a crucial part of that growth has been due to collaborations with non-gaming brands. I think as a game publisher and developer, we've embraced the opportunity to collaborate with non-gaming brand partners to deliver more authentic, unique, and lasting experiences to our players. And this essentially provides more meaningful reach and exposure to brands, while also allowing them to connect with our audiences at a deeper level. And I'd also argue that they wouldn't be able to achieve this level of engagement with more traditional channels and media. So this in turn also positively impacts our gaming audiences, enhancing the overall gaming experience. So this essentially just creates a win-win situation for both our brand partners as well as our passionate community.
Yeah, I think all of you kind of start touching upon that a little bit, which is that kind of gamer experience, right? Because one other thing that in our conversations with brands or kind of partners or just interviewing with consumers is that we often forget that gamers are real people too. Like most people just think it's like a sweaty nerd in a corner of a dark room or something. But in reality, they eat, they drink, they kind of use all of their products. You know, they need to have hardware. But on top of that, they need the non-gaming side of things as well. They need to pay for things. They need to drive cars. They have all these other side of who they are. That is a perfect bridge between gaming and gamers versus non-gaming brands. But that won't really become an authentic and lasting kind of experience if we don't have that authentic connection with them. So, you know, we always kind of drive for that kind of insightful activation or experience, and also long-term commitment as well. Okay, cool. So next, I'm gonna go back to Youssef. I think what are some of the advice you would give, whether it's for non-gaming brands or kind of partners in the gaming ecosystem in terms of working with gaming brands in KSA, especially kind of keeping in mind of the trends we've been talking about, like kind of cultural relevance, or, you know, if you have any like interesting experiences from your past kind of work with them.
For me, the most important thing you can do as a brand is rather than judge a team or someone you're going to sponsor based on their social media likes or their interactions or their viewership, you judge them by the character you meet. So the first step you should take is you should meet these people face to face, whether it's an influencer, whether it's a team. You meet the founders, you understand how they develop their people, how they engage with their fans, how they work essentially. Because I think sponsorship is about helping someone grow. It's not about capitalizing on someone's growth. And I think it's been very much abused, this sort of setup, is that most brands wait until someone reaches a certain point for them to sponsor them. I think brands should strive to look for someone who has potential and to be actually part of their growth, because I think that's much bigger and it's remembered more than anything. But most brand representatives, they care about the now, so they want to sponsor someone big right now because they're not going to be in the company in 8-9 years, so they don't care about the future. They care about right now. They care about the bottom line. I think we should abandon that thought. I think brands should take the same passionate approach we do when it comes to developing talent. They should take the same approach when it comes to developing their own brand or their own agency. I know it's very difficult. We all care about money more than anything, and we all care about clicks more than anything. And I don't blame the people who think this way, because they care about their own jobs. If they invest in someone today and they succeed 10 years later, they might not even be in the company 10 years later. I think we should take the example of Air Jordan, for example. When they met Michael Jordan, he still hadn't played one NBA game when they sponsored him. But when they saw the potential, when they saw the growth, when they saw the animal they met who was always striving to become better and greater and sort of develop himself, I think that's the most important step brands can take. When we started in 2015, we were the first professional esports team ever founded in the Middle East and Africa. It was very hard for us to convince parents to let their sons live with us in a gaming house. I've lived with the players for the past 8 years to sort of show the parents that I'll sacrifice my own life for the benefit of their development. It was extremely difficult for our first 2 years, but our third year, when the players started actually making a lot of money, more than their parents, it was a very easy discussion to have with the parents. The parents didn't even want their kids to come back to their house because they were actually supporting their households. I think when brands started associating themselves with that equation, it started showing a lot of people in Egypt especially that this is not just a career, but you make more money than a doctor or an engineer, and you're 18 years old. So when an Egyptian kid who's 17 makes $5,000 a month from a video game, my investors wanted to play, you know, like it was pretty funny to see, but it was at the same time sad that we had to wait for these guys to actually make bank to believe in what they were doing. So I think we should strive to educate ourselves more, and I think the powers with the most influence to educate people are the brands.
Yeah.
Like when we partnered with Mercedes, we not only succeeded in partnering with one of the biggest brands in the world, but we succeeded in showing everyone in our country that if a company with this size and this history partnered with a gaming team, then there's something there, you know?
Yeah.
So I think brands should focus on helping people grow rather than capitalizing on their growth.
Right, yeah, for sure. I think it's kind of very much about like kind of that dual symbiosis kind of relationship between the team and the brands, and I think there's value unlocked for each side of things. I think, you know, also kind of tying back to some of the stuff that you said, and also the theme of this this session this morning. When it comes to media, I think one of the things that is a bit overlooked in the gaming space is kind of that publication side of things. So for Ibrahim, because for our Arab Hardware, not only you work with a lot of influencers or activations and events and all that, you guys, one of the key things that you guys do is kind of covering the industry news, reviews, and also events coverage. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, kind of as the overlooked side of gaming?
Yeah, actually, like for the last, like I can say, like 6 to 7 years, like we have witnessed a lot of growth in terms of the amount of gaming events happening in the region, especially in Saudi, with the recent investments happening in the gaming side, which is around, I think, 38 billion USD has announced it for the next 5 years. We can see like the Gamers 8 and so on. So I think Saudi now is creating, like they want to be like a gaming hub worldwide. And they actually started to do this. Like, for example, this year, they brought like, I think around 16 titles worldwide. They got all the players, the pro players inside Saudi. So for us, like as a media covering all these events, like it was very challenging, but at the same time, we saw a lot of like good facilities in order to covering all this, and we can see how much Saudi is investing in terms of the infrastructure in the whole ecosystem, not only the players or not only the organization and so on, in the whole ecosystem to make it more sustainable for many years coming.
Right. Yeah, I think that's something always we kind of advocate in terms of that authentic brand presence, but also a captivating experience for gamers, because when it comes to gaming, many of us focus too much on the playing part, but also forget that a lot of it is really just consuming content. Sometimes it's a video from an influencer, but sometimes it could be just a blog post, a publication, some news, reviews, things like that, because they're all part of what gamers do and what gamers watch, what gamers read, right? So I think for myself, I do see a big future in terms of gaming publications or trade publications, as we call it overall in marketing, and their development in the region as well. So the next question I wanted to kind of go back to Jamie as well. So for Saudi overall, whether it's the national vision and also just kind of the sentiment of the country, innovation is a big part of everything the country does. And I think you, coming from a gaming developer side of things, there's a lot of things I feel like you guys have done in terms of innovation, whether it's with gaming brands, non-gaming brands, based on the gaming communities, gamers, things like that. Do you want to talk a little bit about innovation on your side?
Yeah, sure. I think innovation is incredibly important to us. So we constantly strive to find new ways on how we can integrate both endemic and non-endemic brands into our gaming and esports ecosystem. And a recent example would be a collaboration that we did with Ducati, which is an Italian motorbike company. We worked very closely with them so that we could release some cinematic trailers, an in-game event where players could read about the history of Ducati, as well as exclusive content featuring, featuring their products. And this allowed us to cohesively and authentically tell Ducati's brand story to our players, which in turn also allowed them to engage with the brand in fun and new and innovative ways. So again, this just becomes a mutually beneficial ecosystem to both our brand partners as well as our players.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, when it comes to gaming, the technology side of things is one side, but also it's just kind of the innovative thinking when in terms of creating that experience, creating that innovative partnership approach with gaming and non-gaming brands. And I think that's a quite exciting space to continue to explore, yeah, for sure. So I think for the last question to conclude the panel with is, if you wanted to, each one of you, to have one thing that you're most excited about in gaming, in KSA, specifically in the context of non-gaming brands, what is that most exciting thing you're most excited about?
I can start. For me, there's something very important I think most people in this room don't know about, but in the Middle East, Middle Eastern countries aren't allowed to play in most world championships when it comes to esports and gaming. So every country reacted to this news when they found out, because I found out 3 years after I founded my team. Like, I thought they were missing teams, but then I understood the reality of things is that our inclusion isn't that important. Except Mobile Legends, of course. But when we realized this fact, Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco at the start, we kept on fighting. Lebanon joined. We kept on fighting to prove to these publishers that we deserved a spot in their world championships. I think what Saudi did, of course, they have much more financial power than we do, but I think what Saudi did was very good. 2 years ago, they asked the same question we've been asking for the past 8 years. Are we allowed? When the answer was no, they made a championship in Saudi that had a bigger prize pool than all the world championships combined. And they brought all of the world championship teams to Saudi for that championship, and they actually clashed with the actual world championship, and these teams picked coming to Saudi more than playing in the world championships. So I think that's the best thing about Saudi, is that they don't take no for an answer. I wish we had the same thing in Egypt and North Africa, but it's a very different ball game. I think if we continue to do that, they'll be essentially forced to like put us in the biggest world championships for esports games, because it's very bad to develop a player and to make him win nationally, then regionally, and then stop. And the only way he can compete globally is by going to a European team, which is essentially impossible for a North African player, because you can't travel at that age and have a residency in these countries. So it's very bad to stop their career at a point where they can only win regionally. And I think the Saudis will not accept that for their nationals and for their local players. Yeah. They will not accept a player to be forced to travel to Europe to compete on a global stage. I think what they're doing now is extreme. Like Ibrahim said, their budget is around $35 billion in the gaming and esports space. I think you can't compete with that globally, not just the Middle East. So I think Saudi is heading not just to lead the charge regionally, but I think right now they're leading the charge globally when it comes to investment.
Yeah.
And I think when people see that sort of investment, they won't just see that they have a lot of money, they'll see that they actually care. Yeah. Like we saw the Crown Prince himself in an interview say that he enjoys playing video games. Yeah. I highly doubt any president, including the Egyptian president, will go and say he plays a video game. I think that's not
for sure.
That's not part of the personality. So
Yeah.
I think Saudi is heading in the right direction, and I think forcing the publishers to sort of include us is an amazing thing that's happening.
Yeah, for sure. Great.
Okay, so what makes me excited about the future and the gaming in Saudi? So us as a media outlet for gaming for many years, we have always been covering the gaming events in Europe, in US, in Asia, but we never had any chance to get these gaming events in the region. But now having it in Saudi and witnessing the Arab teams and Saudi teams and local who are the one who running these tournaments and running these activations and playing and participating in this with a very good skill rate, this is something very exciting for me to see in the next few years.
Okay, great. Jamie?
Yeah, I think for me, and I definitely agree with both of what they said. What's most exciting is how gaming is constantly evolving from being a hobby or a pastime. It's now a viable career and it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I think this presents both a challenge and an opportunity to both gaming publishers and developers, as well as non-gaming brands, on how do they find new ways and exciting ways to reach, engage, and convert audiences.
Yeah.
Right, and I think this is at the core of what we do at Moonton, where we work very closely with brands in order to weave in their brand stories and narratives into resonant content, as well as fun and engaging experiences. And I'd love to invite everyone in this room to our professional esports league playoffs, which is happening next week at Valve Gaming at Oceanfront Mall, where you can see firsthand at how we deliver meaningful and magical moments to our very passionate community in Saudi Arabia. A bit of a shameless plug.
Great. I wish I could be here as well. Okay, cool. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, so we're going to skip the Q&A section. But we will be sticking around, obviously. So if you guys have any questions, any things you wanted to discuss with us, we're around. So feel free to come to us. Thanks.
Okay, that was a very interesting panel about gaming. As the father of 2 teenage sons, I look forward to the day when they earn more money than their parents. That day can't come soon enough. So we move on to our last panel, which is called The Winning Content Formula, Strategies for Building a Campaign That Works for Your Brand, and is brought to you by MMS. It's the cue to
Open your eyes. I'm the best. This is madness! جايين على أسابيع عظيمة.
Okay, great video. So can I welcome on stage myself as the moderator, Ramsey Ghanem, Commercial Director KSA for NBC Media Solutions, Dareen El Kassi, Managing Director KSA Mindshare MENA, and Yusuf Chaheen, General Manager of PhD Media. To be more authentic, so I'm not the MC, I'm the moderator, I'll take off my tie. So while I'm doing that, I'll just say this is about the winning content formula. As I mentioned, strategies for building a campaign that works for your brand. This discussion aims to provide actionable insights and inspire marketeers, entrepreneurs, and content creators to leverage the power of compelling content in the Saudi market. So let's kick things off. Our first question is, how important is localization in content creation? How does it benefit media companies? And how does it benefit brands and agencies investing in this content? Ramsey, if I could ask you first.
Hello. Hi, everyone. It's great to be with you all. My first answer would be, are you able to watch a movie without the voice element, or a football match without the video element? So content and being true to what you represent, to the audience, to where you are and which market you're operating, is a key factor in resonating well with audiences. And I would give you a lot of numerous examples as MBC Group and MMS. Our role as a group is to bring the best global experiences locally and create local trends and try to make it as successful as it could be. So MBC recently, or years back, started by bringing the best experiences to the Arab world. Let's say, I give the example of the Turkish dubbed series. They were the first to bring it to the region, and it didn't stop there. It was a very successful experience, but still there was a missing element. And then they went a step forward by taking this level up and creating what we call the first attempt of adapted series or adapted content. So they went and brought the best drama across Turkey, or the global drama, and they brought the story, they brought the same set, the same shooting locations, but they brought in the Arab celebrities to do those dramas. And believe me, this has doubled up the performance and the resonance in the region. And I'm sure you're all familiar with Stiletto or Al Thaman or Cristal, whereby not only on TV it performed extremely well, but on our video on demand platform, on Shahid, the average number of plays for each of those pieces of content on the AVOD, on the free version, it exceeded 60 million players. So that alone is a testament of how important it is to really, even if you're bringing in content that is successful outside, how to give it a level up by truly injecting the local insights and being true to what you are in which market you're operating in. I'm going to give another example of the international formats. MBC as a brand, or as a platform, have truly been trying to understand how to boost those platforms. And if you look at Arab Got Talent or Saudi Idol, it outperformed most of the markets who brought in those formats. I think the third or fourth market globally in terms of performance to those platforms. They took it to, again, to a level up by creating enough engagement and excitement for that platforms in our region. This brought us to another step in the region, understanding the power of local content. We started with Shahid and make it the #1 Arabic streaming platform in the region and in the world. Shahid Originals, I think, were the best testament of when you create good content locally, it can perform well not only in Saudi or in the region, but 2 or 3 pieces of content have been nominated to global awards like the Global Emmy Awards, Beirut 607, and every week there's a Friday. So that's my 2 cents on
Brilliant.
the importance of localizing content.
Yusuf, what can you add to that?
I think the content, sort of the level of content that is being created locally is surely sort of, acknowledged today. But we cannot dismiss also the power of the platform and the production. So not only the evolution of the content that is happening locally, but also the evolution of the platform itself. I can only imagine us watching those sort of piece of content on Netflix, which it could have not resonated as much as it's resonating today with the Shahid audience. So I think it's sort of a good balance between the content, production, and the platform itself.
Darine.
Well, is it working? Okay.
Yeah, I think localization is very important as well. Like we all have access to data. Like if you go to GWI or you go to all the research and data analytics, like you wouldn't really understand unless you live in the country, you have access to insights. And I think that benefits the localization as well, and that resonates well with the audience. I second Yusuf on mentioning that the platform is very important as well. Like we all grew up with NBC and Shahid. So when I've looked at behind the scenes, like with the episodes that MMS has now offered the audience, like with Stiletto or like with Cristal. And they have changed the storyline a bit to be more relevant to our region. Like if you go and you look at the Turkish shows, you will see the difference between the two, between Cristal and between the Turkish show, for example.
Are you watching Cristal?
I am watching it.
You're revealing your viewing habits there.
Yes.
So our next question is, what are the key considerations when producing?
So I look at 4 different aspects. So I look at the authenticity, I look at the quality, and I look at relevance. So that will give you a memorable experience with the consumers. You will also increase your brand footprint. You will have a share of conversation. You will have a share of mind. And to be very honest, it's the quality and what you want to say to your consumers that matters. And of course, as media, we look at measurements and we look at KPIs as well to see if this content is good or bad.
Yes, I think it's a great point, and I would like to add that above and all of when you look at content and you try to sort of move away from localizing in terms of importing the concept of content to the Middle East and the region. It's what can you introduce to it that something gives it some sort of authenticity. So I think the authentication of every piece of content that we create is becoming an integral part of the success of this content. And just to add one more thing, if you look at in the span of the last 10 years of the evolution of every single piece of content that we see, whether on TV or digitally, you notice that we've been able to add some sort of creativeness into it, whether in the sort of scenario that is being written or even the platform of how we're packaging this piece of content. And I think NBC has done a great job doing that.
Yeah, and Ramsey, for you, what are the key considerations for you?
Definitely, I totally agree with whatever Darine and Yusuf said. And I believe for us as a media company, it's really important to iterate and learn as we go. We're looking a lot at what have been successful, looking at data, at conversations, how engaging where content is our content, and how much conversation is driving. All of these ingredients are essential when looking at what to do next and what trend to create next. And most important as well is to understand the habits and the consumption habits and where are our consumers or our audiences are. So if we look at the example of Ramadan, we've learned over the years that how to put the sequential programming throughout the day in Ramadan. So in the afternoon period, people are a bit wanted relaxed, waiting for the iftar, whatever. So it was an ideal period to have light social content that tackles social issues positively or try to be educative as much as possible, or positive religious programs. And we've noticed that post-iftar, comedy came to play, and NBC have mastered this game over the years by putting the best comedy lineup in between Maghrib and Isha, for example, not only on keeping the legacies, but every year experimenting with new stars or new talents or new concepts. So we've seen in the last 2 years Ibrahim Al-Hajjaj and Minhum Waladna or Sikkat Safar are new attempts to create future stars in the comedy space. And then after that, we've learned again that drama comes to play at large, and we brought the best from Khaliji or Saudi drama or Levant or Egyptian drama. So it's all about listening, learning, iterating, and getting the best out to your audiences. So, and understanding definitely the social texture where you are operating.
Okay, so just moving on to consumer habits, which we know are rapidly changing. How does brand and agencies make sure they stay relevant and they reach the audience at each of these touch points?
So yeah, it's very true that the consumers' habits are changing, and we've seen that post-COVID as well. I think that was the most, and in Saudi Arabia with the transformation that is happening, and we're catering for a younger generation. So we're seeing a shift in the consumer mindsets. So the way that we look at it is first invest in research and data. We need to understand audiences. So in WPP, we have great tools when it comes to brand assets valuator. That's from a brand health tracker perspective. We look as well into audience origins. So we understand like how this shift is happening to plan better, of course, and we recommend better for our clients. Second is personalization. So I think you need to customize now. Consumers are buying into your brand. It's not anymore that we are challenger brands now. Like there's no brand loyalty. So we need to make sure that our message resonates with the audience. We really touch on the emotional and the rational factor. Customer journeys are also very important. So we need to accompany, not only when it comes to a CPG or maybe on a shopper's marketing, but also when it comes to digital platforms. And then lastly, we look at measurements so we can enhance across the way.
Yeah, I think we have enough pool of data to start to understand in simplicity the behavior and the habits of any consumer. But I think our responsibility as people who are leading and sort of transforming the industry from a platform aspect and content aspect is also to see how we can create the data, because it's either data that fuels the existing knowledge that you have and you act upon it, or if you are creative enough and innovative enough, you will be able to create a new sort of content that will change the habit and transform the market as we see it. So we have to be aware of both aspects. It's how we use data to fuel our learnings and work, in the best form to be much more effective than, the past. And at the same time, how can we create new ways that will change the habits and shift them completely as well?
And Ramsey, what's your take on that?
Personally, I believe the power of good content is still the same. It's the delivery of that content or where this content is being consumed. So this was something that we have to adapt to fast, and this is where we went and across every single vertical we operate in, Shahid or the digital space that we have to enter into through Shahid was part of the change in this consumption habits and how people are consuming media as we go forward. Not only this, I mean, we still believe that we're living again in an omni-platform world where our content journey doesn't only start on one platform. So this is, we've made benefit of this change. Our content, if it starts on TV, then it's being redistributed and repurposed to fit other ways of, or other, the mobile world or the desktop world or any form of consumption it's occurring. Two things: to distribute this content as much as possible and to make benefit of it, to bring people back to our platforms, because when you have good content, it's just make use of whatever is available to bring the relevant audiences to you. And we've witnessed this with many, numerous examples. When TikTok partnered with us on Saudi Idol, they wanted as well to engage with the Saudi talents that are being breeded within this program, and it was super successful. They were able to curate a large amount of audience, and in turn this have benefited our platforms. And whatever we have created as content created high resonance with the Gen Zers or whatever TikTok audience is. On the football space as well, the journey doesn't start on the match itself. We try to extend it beyond that and keep our audiences engaged through the sports ecosystem that we have created of analytical programs outside the matches, where we try to recruit as much as possible from the match viewers to keep them throughout our journey, or post that to keep them engaged and immersed on whatever we distribute on the social media channels. So I think it's a journey that everyone has to adapt to and make the best use of it to your advantage and to the best experience of your audiences or your clients.
Indeed, Saudi Ida was phenomenally successful. It created such a buzz in the region. So, Yusuf, if I can ask you the next question. For media companies, agencies, and brands, how can they ensure that their messaging resonates with the Saudi audience and the wider region?
Look, it's a collection of different strategies coming together in harmony. Because today it's so simple to look at creative strategy, look at it on make sure that you have a very tight creative and content strategy. Then you go and you have your media partners, for example, and you set a beautiful media strategy. And then you have all this pool of data that gives you all the insights and the sort of behavior data that makes you understand your audience better. But the game is, how can you create one simple strategy to connect all of these together? So, and it's not an easy thing, because as you know, to make it simple in the sense that to make it actionable, it's something that we still struggle on a daily basis. It's nice to see it on a board, but when it comes to application, it requires a lot of sort of consistency and understanding of both the brand and the client. So I think look at it from this aspect. Imagine three circles interconnected. So you have your audience, you have the art, the content, and you have the media, right? So a good brand knows how to harmonize between three in a very balanced way. So art and people, or content and people, it's a matter of relevance, and we saw a lot of it today. So how can we be relevant to your audience and resonate with your target segment? Then art or content and media, this is the area where innovation comes in. So this is the power of media. Then if you connect people and technology, it becomes the channels that we try to think and reinvent to make it a seamless experience for our audience.
I think I'll take a different angle, because like the message is very important in the tone of voice. Okay, we live in Saudi Arabia, but we have multiple dialects and multiple cultures within one country. So if you go like to Rijal Alma, for example, like you will see a different culture, a totally different culture than the one in Najd. So understanding the culture is key. Understanding the type of message to your audience is key. And I think as media agencies, we look at that localized content first, and then we mirror it with our channels in the platforms. And this can be a combination. And I think MMS is doing also a great job when it comes to that, because they are catering to different regions within Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. I would do it a different way and would like to ask a question. What kind of ads do you remember seeing last Ramadan, for example? Anyone has an idea other than? So I'm going to give a couple of examples of how brands tackled this in a bold way, were truthful to whatever problem they had and offered a solution and delivered a promise that they were up to. Who remembers a Rajhi Bank ad during Ramadan? Rajhi was a great example of a brand that had a problem that it was always perceived as an old brand or the first bank or doesn't have a great customer experience. And in fact, it offers the best ever customer experience in the banking sector, probably, not only in Saudi, but in the region. And the way they tackled it, they came up with a line that we are the oldest and the newest bank. It was so insightful, and I think it was one of the ads that have really resonated well in Ramadan. They were bold about their problems. They said that they told us the old bank or the blue bank or that we have the worst experience or our cards are not accepted. They offered the problems in a very bold way. Or STC, for example, about their devices. They were making a challenge to themselves in the communication. No one believed that STC deliver more than a mobile handset, where in fact they are becoming the biggest electronics retailer in Saudi. And another example, Imkan, which is a financing company, they were playing a narrative against their core offering. They were saying that finance only your needs. And they gave a very challenging narrative where food is essential for you to survive, but it can kill you. Or a car is essential for you to go from one place A to place B, but you can make an accident. And that's, again, we as a financing company, we want you to be aware that we want you to finance only your needs. And I think those examples are one of very good examples we've seen recently, or Dunkin' Donuts in the Saudi League, that really understands their culture and really are bold and really they are up to their promises, in my humble opinion. So I just wanted to give tangible examples on that space.
No, excellent. So just moving on to measurement now, which is obviously vital, a very essential part of the equation. What metrics or indicators should we focus on to measure the effectiveness and impact of content strategies in Saudi Arabia? Yusuf, if I can ask you that first.
Every single piece of indicator tells a story about your performance. So, but it depends on what is it that you want to focus on from a business objective, aspect. Today, before you launch any story or any piece of content, you have to set and try to envision what is success for you. So, and if you have enough experience or previous patterns, you would know how to quantify it as well ahead of making your investments and choosing the channels that where you want to run your campaign. But every single piece of metric, whether it's a metric that tells about awareness or consideration or engagement or even a sentiment, tells you where you're doing well and where you're underperforming. And I think if you are a good marketeer, you look at the indicators that are not performing well, because it tells you a lot about your product and your brand. And this is crucial because we see a huge pool of data, but there's a huge disconnect between collecting the data, analyzing it, understanding it, and then making sense out of it of how to feed back into your next campaign. So the cycle of making sure that every piece of metric and the sort of result that you collected from it, the way you feed it into your next activity or how you optimize your current campaign is key.
I think I second that, Yusuf, because like we start with a business objective. Like in coming from a creative background, I used to sit with a lot of interns and ask them, how do you know if this creative campaign will be successful or not? And then they will look at the creative, they will see, oh, like I like this, I don't like that. And I'm like, you need to learn three things. Like one, is it answering my business objective? Is it emotional enough to resonate with my communication objective? And is it authentic enough to disrupt the market? And then you move forward. So I think, yeah, every metric is important, but once you understand what the business objective is, like we are catering, yes, for the marketeers, like I think reach is important, awareness is important, but then when you sit with the founder of the company, it'd be like, I want people to understand what my brand is about. And I wanted to monetize at the end of the day. Like we're not working for charity. Like I need my business to be running to keep going.
And yeah, Ramsey, sorry, conscious of time, but yeah, what's your view?
I'll dwell on this quickly. As a media company, I mean, we try to be enablers to our partners, whether clients or agencies, to help in the measurement space. And I think we were pioneering the projects of TV measurement in the region, or we're trying to provide now as possible as we can, and additional layers of data when it comes to our video on demand space. We tried with many clients as well and partners to measure the success of their campaigns through brand lift studies that can really reassure them. We are a media company that offers solution across the full funnel. We're not only anymore operating on an upper funnel or mid funnel, but definitely we're moving across the funnel. So we're trying at any stage of this journey to be able to help our partners in terms of measurement. So that's what I can say on this part.
And Ramsey, sticking with you, our final question is best practices for integrating a brand within that content.
Okay, perfect. So I think we've all agree, or I don't know how much of the audience would agree, that content integration now and brand integration and being part of the content has become an essential part of our marketing mix, whether at the inception stage or on the post-production stage. So MBC Media Solutions, this was at the core of their interest, is to try to offer solutions and new formats to our partners to be able to really and seamlessly communicate the messages of their brands or offer solutions for problems that our partners might have. So I'm going to later on give an example on the famous Saudi Idol, but what I can say is that we're evolving in that space from not only the normal product placement that everyone is familiar with, but really trying to understand the need of every brand and offer the right solution for them, from being part of whether scripted or unscripted shows. How can we put brands within those contexts? One more thing that we've recently rolled out in the market is we found that a lot of time was against a challenge for many of our partners. So we've introduced, with the help of definitely technology, what we call in-content integration, which is a solution that will put your brand on a post-production stage through the help of AI and advanced analytics to discover the best moments within this piece of content and try to put your brand there with high resonance and not an intrusive way of introducing the brand. So I would really like to play a video on Saudi Idol as well, just to showcase by example how brands are being activated on our platform.
Okay, we've got a short video we're just going to show you, and then we'll call it a day soon for lunch.
Sorry, I'm just going to take 60 seconds out of your valuable time again, so bear with me.
In its first ever iteration, Saudi Idol became an instant sensation, climbing to the top of the TV charts and doubling the ratings of the show below it. To bring the show to life, we partnered with 6 leading brands: Pepsi, Kit Kat, Hunger Station, TikTok, Nissan, and Sephora. Every brand had meaningful and groundbreaking integrations.
تيم سعودي ايدل شكرا على الكيت كات، وين سيارة النيسان؟
From branded functional rooms that the contestants used for various activities like enjoying a break in the Kit Kat room.
بعد التوتر على المسرح تحس انك وين تبغى تروح عشان تريح. بقعد هنا باكل كيت كات.
Or a great mocktail in the Pepsi room.
خلونا ننتقل إلى سارة الموجودة في بيبسي روم.
بس ترجع على البيت شوف الإعادة هو شرب بيبسي.
In the TikTok space, the contestants went live with TikTok creators and answered their questions.
TikTok روم هي عبارة عن المشتركين اللي بيتفاعلوا مع صناع المحتوى.
And of course, taking care of their makeup, skin, hair, and appearance in the Sephora Beauty Studio.
احنا في غرفة سيفورا، غرفة الأناقة والجمال.
Nissan celebrated the launch of their all-new X-Trail in the first live episode.
محبوب السعودية حيفوز أيضا بسيارة نيسان X-Trail. لو سمحتوا جيبوا سيارة نيسان لأحلام.
And Hunger Station had one of their writers have an impromptu audition.
أنت سامع عني شيء؟
أنا سامع كل خير.
كل خير كلنا سامعين.
هانجر ستيشن أنا دايما أطلب من عندكم.
For the very first time, NBC broadcasted a flagship show live on TikTok, garnering over 2 million unique users. We also introduced full-themed episodes where the sponsors, brands, and products are showcased in every contestant's profile. This allowed KitKat to award the contestants with their very first live concert in the Riyadh Boulevard.
KitKat أعطونا بريك من الضغط النفسي والاستوديو.
While with Pepsi and their initiative Sound of Saudi, our finalists filmed their first video clip. Saudi Idol has hit over 1.8 billion video views on social media and reached new heights in TV ratings.
محبوب السعودية حمس فكري.
After crowning Hams Fikri, a strong, independent Saudi woman, the title of Saudi Idol. We are delighted with the tremendous success of Saudi Idol for NBC Group and, of course, our partners.
Okay, thank you for that. So we're just going to wrap things up. So if we can quickly just, Dareen and Yusuf, just your best practices for integrating a brand within content.
Yeah, I think after this video, you remain speechless. I think it's very important to integrate the brand into content because you're actually joining a conversation that is already happening. So it's very seamless. You're not really pushing your brand on anyone. It's at the moment. Like I worked a lot with different brands with MMS Group, and at the same time, like previously, when I was heading Shark News. So the way that we used to work with clients is when, for example, we had a designers program that worked with the Ministry of Culture. So we invited different designers to Al-Ula. And we created a whole episode out of those designers, and this resonated better than me putting spots for Ministry of Culture.
Yeah, I think it also depends on the complexity of the sort of communication they're trying to build. I think the example we saw on TV is a good one sort of platform example, how to integrate brands and content within the TV channel. But think of a brand that is, for example, Saudi Tourism. A brand that they launch ads, and imagine the whole journey of someone seeing the ad to the moment they land in Saudi. So how many touch points, the amount of mediums, the sort of barriers that you go through in terms of seasonality, the how, when, what, where. So integrating a brand is extremely complex, but you need to understand that the content has to run seamlessly, as Dareen was saying, without forcing your brand on each medium or each touch point. Because there's a huge difference between integration and customization. And I think we shouldn't forget on how to tailor the content to fit on the medium and not simply show it there. So yeah. You have to think from within.
We'd love to talk more, but sadly we're out of time, and I think lunch and tummies are rumbling. So I just want to thank you for your time, and there's some really great insights there. So thank you to my last panel.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we're drawing to a close now. So I want to thank all of our panelists from today and our sponsors and the audience for coming. Okay, so we mentioned we have a lunch, a sponsored lunch from Yandex. So I'd just like to invite Abdullah, who would like to personally invite you to lunch. Abdullah?
First, we would like to invite you to the business lunch that will be held right after the end of the discussions here. Second, I would like to quickly introduce Yandex and share some of what we do. Yandex is one of the largest European IT companies that has an ecosystem of different B2B and B2C products, all powered by AI, such as the search engine. Such as the search engine, geo services, advertising, and many more. I come from Yandex Advertising, where we recently launched Yandex Dynamic Retargeting ad format for e-com brands. Our ad product helps e-com businesses grow revenue and conversions by targeting users who have shown interest in a product or a certain category but have not completed a purchase. It's a performance model that maximizes the efficiency of any other running ads campaign, and the algorithms used in this product are made specifically for e-commerce, and the results have shown an incremental growth in sales volume by 25 to 30%. Wish we've had more time to share more about the product. However, we are looking forward to chatting with you during the lunch to share the case studies and answer any questions that you may have. Once again, welcome to the Campaign Saudi Briefing Business Lunch. This event is an amazing mix of creativity, understanding, and technology. We are excited to have deep talks and work together with everyone here. This event shows us what the future of media and marketing could look like, and we can all help in creating that future. We are very thankful that you are here with us today. Let's use this event as a way to share knowledge, work together, and build a future full of innovation, openness, and growth. Shukran, and thank you.
Okay, so lunch awaits, but first of all, we've got prizes to give away. You can see one of them here. Before that, one of our prize givers is mFilterit, and we have a short video from mFilterit to show you.
Affiliate monitoring tool. Pay for only real outcome. Mark has been spending on affiliate marketing for months. He is getting traffic, but one day it all felt like a foe. One of his customers claimed that he has been defrauded by Mark's brand, but Mark has no clue about what went wrong. Later it was found that one of his affiliates was using his brand name to lure customers and defraud them. As a result, Mark not just lost his money, but he lost a loyal customer and its brand reputation took a downturn. The interest in affiliate marketing has grown 264% between 2020 to 2022. And with this sudden spike, fraudsters are also becoming smart and discreet. They follow the money with newer and advanced techniques. Some of the tricks used by affiliates to fool customers are organic traffic stealing, IP violations, typo squatting, misrepresentation of brand information, advertising counterfeit products, misuse of coupon codes, misuse of brand creatives. Affiliate fraud can eat up your marketing budget, waste your time, and worst of all, damage your reputation. It's like throwing money into a black hole. Questioning your affiliate marketing strategy? Fear not. Your partner of trust is here. Introducing the ultimate solution for all your affiliate fraud nightmares, Affiliate Monitoring Tool by mFilterit. Created for the marketers to identify the fraudsters and work with only trusted affiliates. Our tool identifies the violations committed by affiliates and flags them proactively to ensure that the brand pay for only real outcomes. Don't be like Mark. Take control of your affiliate campaigns and partner with affiliates you can trust. Advertise fearlessly with mFilterit. Advertise fearlessly with mFilterit.
Okay, so I'd like to welcome on stage mFilterit's Deb Sina, who will give away some prizes.
Hi guys, thank you for waiting around. We have Tariq Sharafuddin for an AirPod. Next, I have Aya Al-Sabah for another AirPod. And finally, the big one, the PS5 goes to Anthony Ghawi for the PS5. You can please come.
Brilliant, thanks Debsina, and congratulations to our winners. And Bigoad Shweta, if she can come on stage and give away her prizes.
There's an AirPods from Bigo Ads for Suhail from Ability. Is he around? Suhail. Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's it now. So as mentioned, we have this lunch sponsored by Yandex Ads, which is on the first floor, which you can get to from the lobby. We hope to see you there. And thanks again for coming, and we'll see you at the next one.